Welcome, everybody, to the Overheard podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Dan Rudel. With me always is my co-host.
Got Matty Rage. Let's go.
A little bit late today to the show, but we are here. We would never let you hang in. We have our guests here for the day. Oh.
Oh, yeah, the EOS webcam.
That's all right.
That's
we
our guest for
are
today.
back to introduce our guests here live. We have Yiannis Asimakis and the Prohibitionettes. We have Zoe Tudor and Kevin Pankhurst.
Yeah,
so happy to be here.
Let's go.
So happy to be here.
Especially because it took us a car and like a half to get here.
It cost them a car to get
It
here.
did.
So we got to give you a big thanks for coming by and actually making it with us. I know a lot of guests would have just turned around and called it a day. So we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
We'll cancel a gig or a show when we die.
Even then, Yanni would still try to find a way to make it work.
I tried to do the math in my head, like I actually Google mapped it. I'm like, if I
Yeah.
started walking right now, it's like 7 hours to Banff. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't think that's a walk you're
I'm like-
looking to make.
I mean, me personally, playing in a band, I had broken down on that. Goddamn. Like, we got stuck at Cochrane once. The cop wouldn't let us drive because the headlight fuse went out.
Sick.
And then we got caught with a trailer that didn't have any registration or something. So we had to unhitch the trailer with all of our gear and leave it at like some random bridge.
Oh, boy.
Then we got stuck at the exact same gas station again. Something happened and something broke. We had to sleep overnight there. It was like every time we played a show, it was just... and then recently the van broke down. On the way there, we got stuck at Callaway Park.
Is this all the same van?
No, this is...
Oh, I was
several
gonna say,
different-
if you
this is
just
several,
get-
several different vehicles.
I was gonna say
but-
the
but what I
vehicle's
am
cursed,
noticing,
but-
it's the same area. I'm going
Yeah.
back. I'm
Haunted.
looking for
It's
somebody with
cursed
a
for sure.
Haunted.
yeah, someone with a BB gun or like just popping tires.
Yeah, BB gun.
There
For
you go,
sure.
There you go.
So what happened to you guys today?
That's a great question. We don't totally know. Something went real wacky with my engine, and I could no longer get my car. I was like literally flooring it. It wouldn't go past 80. And then we were like, let's try turning it off and turning it on again. You know, basic troubleshooting.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally works with cars. And then my oil light was on, and I was like, that's not good. So I immediately turned the car off. Checked the oil, and I was like, there's no goddamn oil on this dipstick. Come to find out, yes, there was. It's just I recently had my oil changed, and I'm used to checking my oil when it's unbelievably dirty, so
Yeah.
I just don't recognize
Oh, yeah.
clean oil. But no, I don't know. I have no idea what's wrong
Okay.
with it, but it's not the most drivable. It's
Car
basically
troubles.
like a bumper car right now.
Bummer.
It's about as fast as it'll go.
Well, again, like, sorry that happened to you guys today.
No, that's
Thank
fine.
you for-
Today's
Sorry we're
unofficial. Today's unofficial Father's Day.
Yeah, both
Like-
my dad and Yanni's dad came in. We're not related. Dads are separate,
related, not
respective fathers. Both showed up and came in clutch.
Yeah, I
Bless
thought that the car problem was she drives an Element,
Okay.
There's nothing. I love
like
my
the
element.
like the box,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the lunch box on wheels.
For
How
sure.
dare you?
And there was so much wind coming from like the west that I was like, maybe we're just stalling a little bit
Yeah,
because
'cause
it's the most unaerodynamic vehicle of all time.
True.
So after
It
I
is.
regained consciousness,
What?
because she hit me.
Yeah, sure.
With the car? With
Yes,
the car?
with
No,
the car.
like-
That's
Okay.
why we stopped. I
That's
hit
why-
Yanni.
oh,
I was
see what
making him
happened.
run
I see what happened.
alongside.
That's probably what broke it, to be
Yeah.
honest. Maybe that
He's
might have something to do
built
with
like
it.
a brick house. This one.
She calls her dad to fix it. I call mine to come pick us up so we can get Zoe's car. So there's this unofficial Father's Day on the side of the road. Just a bunch of unimpressed people being like,
Did you have a barbecue and beers?
we wish.
Yanni certainly had beers.
Oh, yeah, a couple of beers when you're stranded is not a bad idea.
Yeah,
at
once
all.
we
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
that this ship wasn't sailing, that's the first call.
For sure. Well,
That's
big
right,
shout out
yeah.
to the dads that came to the rescue getting you
Let's
guys
go.
here.
Dad's got us
Big
here
thank
half
you.
an hour late. Let's do it.
That's all right. No big deal. We do the show when we want to do the show. So thanks for making it. Let's dive in a little bit to more specific introduction. We'll start with you. Kevin, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do?
Sure. So my name's Kevin. We passed that. I am one of the Prohibitionettes, so I am a singer. Outside of singing, I'm a retired professional wrestler.
Shit.
I'm a classically trained singer. I toured with my melodic post-hardcore band when I was 18.
Let's go.
Right. I don't know. What else do I do? I'm a former wedding DJ. I'm
Sweet.
a writer.
Look behind you. I just got into it too.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
That is much more DJing than what I was doing. I had 2 laptops with like
Oh.
software. So I
For
was,
anybody in the
yeah.
art scene coming up, it's the most lucrative way to start.
So, I don't know. I get around. I do whatever.
Right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Moving on for you, Zoe.
Well, I'm Zoe, and it's like A over here.
Hi.
But
And I work with Yiannis.
yeah,
Hi,
I
Zoe.
work with this guy, and I also do princessing on the weekends with YYC Princess in Calgary, and during the seasonal times, I work as a haunt actor
Okay,
at
cool.
Edmonton
Cool.
Haunted House in Edmonton. So I kind of perform
Cool.
a little bit everywhere. It's mass 180, Start the day making kids happy, and I end them making them be themselves.
Nice.
It's a good time. And really, that's kind of all I do. Horror movie enthusiast, I like to think of myself.
Nice.
Right on. So
Very
definitely in the right role with the scare acting or
Oh,
horror
for
acting. Is
sure.
it? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's surreal a little bit. It's a good time though. Oh,
So
Lot of brushes.
how does that work? Like you just work at a haunt house and you just like scare
People walk
the-
by and you go
piss out
boo,
of
and then they
people.
scream.
They give you money.
Yeah.
And you make
I
money
mean,
off
like,
it too, yeah.
yeah.
So people give you money to scare the crap out of them, is what you're saying.
oh yeah. I mean, like we will literally keep track of people who have peed themselves.
That's
Crap their
That's my
pants.
nightmare. To wet myself
Fantastic.
in a haunted house and then know that all the staff are like, that girl pissed herself. And if I ever come back, they're going to spot me. Like, let these poor people have some dignity.
As
Jesus.
an actor, I can confirm we know when you've done it because we can smell you throughout the whole haunt. We know.
Oh, no.
But the fun thing
Cool.
is, if you do it at our haunt, you get a fun little gold coin that says code yellow or code brown.
Oh, that's so good.
You know.
That's awesome.
One of the weird
You
ones.
get a
Wait.
memento for it.
Wait, so does that imply that there is a code brown and someone is here?
certainly implies that.
100%. We get code browns, not every night, but frequently.
Wow.
I mean,
We-
that's probably a good attest to your acting then, that the scaring is legitimate. It is to the core.
It's very hardcore.
We had to
It-
write one of her bios once, and she was like, haunt contortionist. And I'm like, contortionist and haunt, these are 2 words I've never seen like side by side. And she's like, oh. And then she like just folds backwards, lifts over, and then does like a crab walk
Oh,
towards us.
okay,
Like the
yeah,
Exorcist
yeah.
girl.
I'd get the hell out of there
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite ones to do because you don't even need to do much. People are just kind of like, please don't come near me. I
that
don't
a
want
lot
to hear
anyway.
your bones cracking. If you could just stay as far away as possible,
too. You
that'd
do
be
that at
fantastic.
home and just like scare people that are, like parents got company over and you just, I'll come over for dinner and then you just start doing that. But
Yeah, 100%. And I'll just start out of nowhere. Why not?
Please meet
Make
our
everybody
daughter.
think it's normal and, a regular interaction. And then just,
Well, for me, that screams out like right away. I think the Tool video Schism, where they have the like contortionists walking around.
Oh,
there,
yeah, that's a
like,
sick video.
Yeah,
That's a
like,
sick
that's
video.
kind
I
of
forgot about
that's
that.
Oh, yeah,
pretty
like
spooky
guys are
stuff,
like
you know?
bobbing their heads.
Yeah, like,
And walking. Those guys are so weird.
Pretty-
I'm the
is
biggest
awesome.
Tool fan ever. That's so cool.
You're certainly the
so
biggest
wild.
tool.
Oh! Shots,
You can't
Shots
leave
fired.
things like
Shots
that
fired.
there and ask me
Shots
not.
fired.
So my job is also to keep Yanni humble, and I do it very well.
I would
Can
love to
confirm.
introduce myself.
Yeah,
So-
let's move on.
After that,
Before we
after
dig
that, I
too
think you're
far
gonna have
into
to.
the
You need
audio.
some sort of redemption there.
I'm blinking in Morse right now. Help me
Help
into the
me.
mic. No, I guess musical. Like I came from musical theater, and then before the pandemic, I was trying to figure out whether or not I was going to go into like film or theater again. And then the moment that I wanted to like get back out there, someone undercooked a bat in Wuhan, and then we all had to stay home for 2 years.
Yeah, that was fun.
And
That
then
was
right
great.
after, I came into comedy, but there was always this. No matter how much stage time I was doing, it just felt empty. And then I realized that there's like I am that theater kid,
Oh,
so
okay.
I wanted to add something to it. Whether it was like playing another character or adding music in the beginning.
Cool.
Yeah, so it was 14 years of musical theater, the pandemic, and then I've been doing comedy for 3 years. Just started coming out to Banff thanks to Chewy and Gene Keenan.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's how we met. I want to touch on that a little bit. We met, I've seen you at 2 sets now here live at the Rose and Crown. That was an awesome time. Always hilarious stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was a great night.
How did the Prohibition show kind of come to fruition? You said that musical theater, doing comedy, you want to add some singing. That's obviously where the lace come. Do you do any singing during the show as well?
Yes, mostly it is the two of them.
Okay.
I will once you hear these two sing, it's pretty hard to like justify even touching the microphone.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I will I'll try my hardest. But when you go into Prohibition, you walk down these steps and then there's no door. It's like a phone on the wall.
Okay.
So you'll like pick up the phone and then the door will open and then all of a sudden you go from like a stairwell into this beautiful 1920s era speakeasy.
Cool.
Well, yeah, the pictures that you sent me, like that,
sounds
the
sick.
Prohibition bar looks beautiful.
The
like
whole
a great
vibe
venue.
is so cool.
Well, and you can't go more than like 2 minutes without finding something else to look at because they have so many of like different antiques all lined around the walls and posters, and there's just so many things to be looking at all the time.
Even the newspaper as you're walking in, it's like Prohibition is over, and you're like, oh yeah, we're getting drunk.
Yeah.
Something's happening.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
and then
That's cool.
when we because we've been producing shows and we've been doing a bunch of different stuff across the city, but there is something so boring about that. Come listen to 8 comics, like right off the bat. Like every place will do that.
It's just a very standard like setup, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just this is how comedy shows are done. Like
Yeah.
I think breaking that out of the box is a very cool idea for
If
sure.
you're not a place like the Laugh Shop or the Comedy Cave or
Right,
Yuck
right.
Yucks, then you might want to try something that's a little bit.
Well, you don't have to. There's nothing saying that you have to stick to the script, right? Like
Thank you.
it's comedy, man. Like you can do
Yeah.
whatever the hell you want, anyways. So why not?
So what's better walking down those steps, like knocking on a door, having a guy open up the door for you because it's obviously a speakeasy.
cool.
It's
That's
a secret,
awesome.
right?
Mhm.
And then you see one of these girls in like a red dress or whatever they're wearing that night singing lounge music. But we do covers of lounge music. So like Toxic by Britney Spears. but in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
very
Nice.
end.
Well-
like a little Richard Cheese vibe.
Yes.
It's sort of
Yeah.
that.
But we're not.
I'm
But we're not. Yeah. If I
Love
ever
Richard
get the
Cheese.
chance.
Oh hell yeah, he's
Insane
awesome.
in the membrane.
Dude, hey, what about Schism?
I wish.
There you go.
I wish.
He's
They're-
already trying to get me to do Too Old.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you guys Tool fans?
Huge.
We've covered that.
Yeah.
I mean,
We literally talked
I'm
about
not
it.
a huge Tool fan. I do like them. I can play some riffs. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're great. They're
For
Unreal.
420 or when we get out on Pender Island, we want to like sing Rosetta Stone as a group.
nice.
Nice.
There you go.
They
There you
just
go.
did it, I want to say, like in the last 6 months for the first time since the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It
Oh,
was
crazy.
insane.
Yeah, it's,
like,
crazy.
it's pretty nuts.
yeah, pretty wild. I couldn't imagine being at that show. They
Well, now that I play
Rosetta
bass,
Stone.
I have to know the Schism riff, right? So
Definitely.
It's the
must
law.
learn.
it's the law. It's
Yeah.
like the sound check song. You just have to do it,
Yeah.
man.
Like if you did jazz version of Schism, it'd be like da 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 da. I know the pieces fit because I watch them fall away.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Like, there you go.
You're
Oh, God,
easily good.
he's Richard Cheese Jr. already.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Well, and
Or
it's
would they just call you Dick Cheese?
ew.
Dick Cheeselet.
Dick Cheeselet. There you go.
Oh.
Dick Cheesel.
Wouldn't it be more like curd? Like a little piece of cheese is like a
Richard
cheese
Curd?
curd.
Richard
I think it depends
Curd.
who you ask.
There you go.
Yeah.
Richard Curd.
Yeah, I try to do like some classic like era appropriate jazz, and then the thing I've been doing lately, which Yanni loves that I do this, is I am forevermore, it truly wasn't just a phase. I'm an emo kid through and
Nice.
through. So I'm working as many emo songs,
Okay, sick.
jazz covers of emo songs. I'm doing Misery Business. I'm doing Dance Dance. I'm trying to
Nice.
get Welcome to the Black Parade in there.
There you go.
Yeah. Because it's the stuff I was singing when I was 18, when
But
I was
it
on.
gets people going though. Like when I'm
Dude.
like even when I'm DJing, I'll mix in like some Bring Me the Horizon
Yeah.
or like, something like that. And
People
just,
turn up for Under Oath.
dude, even
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like more and
Big,
more
big
these
time.
days,
Yeah.
like crossing
Well, 'cause-
the genres in music.
Well, and
is
also now
very
it's becoming
standard
like
practice.
classic rock,
Yeah,
right?
and
And
everywhere's
so
got an emo night now. Like a lot of towns, they'll have like a, instead of industry night, it's emo night.
Yeah.
Like I know my buddy back home does a huge one. It's like a massive event. You have to buy tickets for it.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah.
But they just have like DJs that play like massive emo hits.
I think we're starting to really
Yeah.
realize that the music that we had when we were growing up was bomb.
I mean-
2004 was Take This to Your Grave by Fall Out Boy came out in 2004, and nothing has ever been the same. And
Already on the Fall Out Boy.
I have a Fall Out Boy tattoo. I live for Fall Out Boy,
Nice.
especially early 2000s Fall Out Boy. But yeah, so I like to. Zoe does everything.
Yeah, well, I try to get like a little bit of a mixture of everything going. So like, there's a little bit of Marilyn Monroe in there, and then you got like Seven Nation Army right after,
Right
and
on.
then like it's just you'll find like show tunes in there too. Like
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
all over the place.
Cool.
And then like even when me and Kev will be out busking, we'll just decide to jump in on each
Like,
other's
let's
songs
try
all
it,
the
yeah.
time, and we'll be like, okay, well, let's see what we can make work with
Yeah.
this.
Hey.
This is not cool.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
I did see some social media posts of you guys kind of, I guess you hype the shows by busking outside.
Yeah.
Like, that's
It's-
an awesome idea. You're
it's
walking around
so
Calgary.
cool.
You see these ladies singing or Yanni out there
Yeah.
in his silver suit.
It's gold, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Gold.
I like to think he looks like a baked
It's
potato
gold.
in it.
He does look like a baked potato.
You
He is a
you put on a
gilded
suit like
turd.
that, thinking like I'm building a brand. Everyone will know me. I'm the baked potato.
You are the baked potato.
I mean,
mean,
he was C3PO before,
worked.
and it was tempting to like cut off half of one leg and put silver on it and be like, now you
C3PO?
can be genuine. Like,
Oh my God,
but
that's brutal. That's brutal.
you wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, no, it's whenever you see buskers in downtown Calgary, it's usually like they're playing an instrument.
Yeah, for sure.
So to like hear something, turn the corner and realize it's not the speakers outside a bar.
yeah,
It's
hell yeah.
two people doing live vocals.
That's awesome.
We get a lot of support.
It's fun.
People stop. They try. Here's something that I don't, and I hope hopefully this podcast will get some awareness out for this. When you're singing, the main instrument is your mouth.
Mhm.
So it's impossible to have a conversation with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Or
Oh,
thank
yeah.
people who are tipping too.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
I feel bad because I always give like the slight nod of like, I acknowledge you, I see you, but I really can't talk to you right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
hilarious. You find people try to approach you and talk to you about what's going on. Like, hey,
Sometimes-
look-
oh, I've had
That's
people try to
hilarious.
have a full conversation with me, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like,
and I try so
Uh-huh.
hard to
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure, like, if anyone's talking to the girls, like, I'll go and I'll give them a ticket. But all of a sudden, you're trying to talk to this girl busking on the side of the road, and then you look right and you see this dude that
This
looks like a
Greek
baked
man.
potato running at you.
You're like, oh God, is that their bodyguard? This baked potatoes.
The
Someone
other
just
thing is-
firing baked potatoes over here.
People will not take flyers from Yanni, but they
No.
will take them from Zoe and I. The other day, he's like, I have one more. I want to pass it out. And people were literally ignoring him. And I was like, give me that.
I think
go-
it was because it was the one. I'm
I
like, I have
go-
one piece of
One
paper
line.
I
for
go
you.
and I give it to Zoe, who's singing. I'm like, just give this to someone. A couple that has already ignored Yanni immediately takes it from her. So,
Amazing.
you know,
Like,
it's a
yeah,
team
we don't
effort.
trust that guy, but these two, they seem all right. Like,
Yeah.
it's
He's giving like, it's such a specific reference. Have you guys seen Hercules? Disney's Hercules?
yes.
Not for a while.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
there's
like,
What you
like the
thinking
90s?
the
from?
like, you want to buy
Oh,
a
you want to buy a sundial?
Yeah,
I am
Yeah.
100% a sundial salesman.
Yeah.
Bro,
You should
bro,
just
my
get- you should get-
sundials are so good they work under the moon.
Oh my
Like,
God.
don't even get under
You should get just like a few small sundials, like 3D printed, and then you could just like, something like this size, you could just sell them. Have a whole bunch of them, bunch of different colors. Like,
Could be the birth of a new bit. Who
yeah,
knows?
miniature sundial. You just put it in your windowsill, and you're like, well, what time is it, dude?
I am constantly, I have Yanni on a metaphorical leash because he'll be like, I don't want to scream into the mic, but he'll be like, ladies, come back here every Wednesday night. And I'm like, you cannot scream at women like that. You cannot
Oh my
scream
God.
at women walking down the street like that. And he'll
It's
be like, I heard it. And I'm
2024,
like, I don't
Yanni,
think you
can't do
did.
that anymore.
I don't think you did.
17th Avenue is always Electric Avenue right here.
Well, I got a little. I was working like this little joke at work the other day because we had Parks Canada in last week, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm surprised a government entity would send like a nice young woman to an apartment to make a video with two dudes." I was just like, "Oh, when you put it that way,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
whoa. I was like, whoa, Dan, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's just like, Now that you mention it, I think I left my car running.
It does kind of sound weird when you put it that way.
Well, you put it that way, but no, we are a legitimate media outlet.
Context is key.
We watched that. Zoe and I watched that podcast to prepare for this today, and I loved how many times she glossed over the fact that she has to tell like tourists on a almost weekly basis, please stop approaching the animals that eat you.
Wildlife, yeah.
For sure.
That live here.
Pretty wild stuff in the town of Banff. Like,
it's always something like I said on the podcast. I had a guy ask me at the liquor store where to get a sandwich. I was like, go to Coyotes. It's awesome. He's like, no, just to feed to the bears. I'm like, don't
do that.
ever.
No,
literally
ever
don't
do
do
that.
that.
Have you seen The Revenant?
It will take your arm. Like with that sandwich, we'll go half of your body.
Yeah.
So just maybe don't do that.
And also, then you're emboldening the bears to don't feed
Now
the
they're going to want
bears.
ham sandwiches, and where are they going to find
people
Have
them?
you learned nothing from Yogi Bear?
Yeah.
People get the park kind of mixed up with amusement
petting
park.
zoo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
petting zoo
Like
type of
That
stuff.
was
So-
one of my favorite things that
Yeah.
you said in that last one. It's
For
like, it's
sure.
not an amusement park. It's a national, it's essentially Jurassic Park
Yeah.
without the electric fences.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like when you see the videos of people going to Yellowstone, like walking right
Oh,
up to
up to the
buffaloes.
buffalo, you're like,
It's
what is
nobody's
wrong
business.
with
I
you?
remember
That's a
going there as a
wild
kid, and I'm like, I
animal.
would never.
But also,
Oh,
like,
there's that video of that chick got punted, dude.
Yeah.
Like what I said, you would not believe how far one of those things can fire a whole human being. Like you see that video once, you're like, nope.
We
nope.
definitely hinted at that, but I don't think we wanted to like mention any parks by name with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all know what we were talking
Yeah.
about for sure.
Like on that note, like Banff does have the best safety rating.
They really do.
Yeah. Well, it's probably because we got people like her out there telling people not to feed bears.
don't feed bear sandwiches.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, sandwiches are good, but
But
Not for bears.
back to you guys. How long have you been performing at the Prohibition Bar? How long has this show been going on, and how do you like keep it fresh for people that are going by weekly or that want to,
So
experience that multiple times?
one of the problems with running a weekly show is we like having the same group of comics come in and refine something month to month.
Mhm.
And some folks like to run monthly or bi-weekly because they feel like they have more time to promote. Where we like to run weekly because whether or not you're saying the same thing week to week, it might get boring for you, but it isn't for the audience.
For sure.
So we try
Right.
so hard to like solidify that every single Wednesday you can expect to see live lounge music, comedy, or any time we do any other show, it's
Cool.
going to be the exact same product that you have. So what we've stopped doing is creating this amateur environment. We try and be semi-pro.
For sure. Like I've seen Alex Byron, I think.
Yeah.
Was that, I don't know if that's coming up or
No, Alex Byron just
happened,
finished.
just
yeah,
happened.
Mhm.
TikTok star Alex Byron was on our show.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
I know him from Instagram and stuff. Like I would say it's a pretty big name,
It's a name.
for as far
Yeah.
as like comedy
Yeah, no doubt.
goes.
Yeah,
So-
Alex. So we look for we try our hardest to find out who's either established or who is like on fire, because
Mhm.
you can be great at your job but not be having kind of the momentum that you want.
100%.
And then there can be a kid that has been here for 6 or 7 months that all of a sudden, like you saw him a couple weeks ago and he's not really killing it, but all of a sudden
Something
Yeah.
clicked.
something
clicked,
clicked.
Yeah.
So like come like now. Like,
Yeah.
which is why we leave every second or third week open, because in case something happens, we want to be able to give the opportunity to somebody who's really leaning into it and gain momentum. And we
Right.
want to be able to advertise far enough out so that the headliners feel
Cool.
like they're,
like well represented.
well,
I guess,
exactly.
right?
We want it to feel
Well,
like
you
their
don't
show.
want it's like playing in a band. You don't want to have to put posters up 2 days before a show because
Yeah.
no one's gonna show up. It's
Yeah.
just how
Well,
it
I
is.
think
You
like-
got to bug people for like. I don't know if it's the same thing. Like I play in a metal band, so like please come to my show. It's like we're inconveniencing the bar terribly, so please show up and buy drinks.
Yeah.
They do not want to listen to this all night at all. Like please come buy drinks. Like
Well, it's
hang
kind of
out.
Yeah.
reminiscent of the podcast as well. Like we're trying to stay relevant and get people not booked too far in advance. We found ourselves kind of handcuffed with that as well a few
Mhm.
times where, hey, you got someone who's maybe in town for a couple of days or popping off. Like you said, you're trying to strike while the iron's hot. Like that's
Yeah.
we can definitely relate to in that sense for
And,
sure.
and it's a lot of fun. I think a lot of like a delegation of where you put your power is super, especially in small groups,
Mhm.
because it's like we're a group of 3. we have an honorary member right now who's working out in Drumheller
Cool.
with Rosebud Theater.
Cool,
Mark
cool.
Halzikoff, he was the gentleman. When you're talking about Dick Cheese and like little
Oh,
Frank
yeah, yeah.
Sinatra,
Yeah.
that's Mark.
Mark
Nice.
would be horrified that you made that comparison.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Mark is a very classy man who wears like a jacket and a waistcoat.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Yeah.
The internet Drumheller is not very good. He's not going to see this. So, and then once we looked at that format and we saw that people will come in and like enjoy the theme of the show, we brought in Zoe to solidify it, and then we brought in Kevin, and then we made Kevin artistic director, so that like, because I don't want to be sitting here making decisions on music when it's them singing.
Right.
Fair.
Right.
So every single week, they'll change. Yeah, just go for the.
Do
Yeah.
you take charge of what you're going to perform?
yeah, so I mean, we do basically what we want. We just
Yeah.
try to make it appropriate, right? So like if we were doing a show outside Prohibition, we'll do stuff like that still is like dinner and drinks music. You can
Mhm.
still have a conversation over it.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of like sultry, like Black Velvet is one that
Yeah.
we like to do together
Nice.
by Alana
Cool.
Miles. And we just do that one as it's written. We don't do like a jazz cover of it, but we wouldn't necessarily do that at Prohibition. It's just not quite the right vibe, even
Yeah,
though
fair.
it's still kind
I think
of
like
like
busking
swingy.
would be the only time at
Yeah.
Prohibition itself.
Yeah, if we're busking outside Prohibition, we'll do it. But
Cool.
otherwise, the brief is basically to keep it like theme appropriate. As long as it sounds like it belongs, it's okay. It doesn't matter when it was written, as long as it sounds right,
For sure.
it's fine. We try to do a good mix of ballads and up-tempo songs.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, 'cause,
ballads
like,
aren't as
music controls the room, right?
well,
Like,
and if we're only doing up tempo and people are talking over it, it's going to sound like you've been singing the same song for an hour.
Yeah.
okay.
So we try to mix it up. I like to do some traditional stuff and some modern stuff in case we've got old people in the room. I could have said that more elegantly, but I didn't. We're here now. We're just going to roll with it in case there are octogenarians in the room.
It works. It works.
But then also, I love rolling out. I always close with Misery Business by Paramore.
Cool.
Yeah, a jazz cover of that. And I can always kind of spot, you too were at Warped Tour in 2007.
For sure.
And Zoe changes her setup a lot more than I do. I kind of pick a set, stick with it for about a month, and then for the next month, I kind of switch a bunch of things out and refine it. I'll refine my set as the month goes on. Be like, this song's not really working. I'll swap it out with this one.
Cool.
But then completely kind of gut it and restructure it for the next show. And you kind of do your sets bespoke every time, eh?
I try to, but it's like, I don't know. I try to do like stuff that I feel like singing that week most of the time. So it'll be like if I'm feeling relaxed, it won't be as many up-tempo songs, like kind of vice versa and everything
Cool.
like that. So
Well, I think that's a great way to keep it fresh as well, doing what you feel like doing
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then getting to refine that. It's
Yeah.
a cool way to have a great performance in the end because you have, you get to refine yourself weekly, which is a
Yeah.
cool.
Some of the best acting, I think either acting or just stage advice ever, came from Kevin Spacey before he became a massive piece of shit.
I think it was probably already. Can we curse on your show?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it was
I'm
Did I
not
probably.
use the
clearing
one?
myself
Did I use
then.
the PG-13 one swear? I wanted to use it somewhere else.
I think he was probably already a piece of shit. We just didn't know about it.
Yeah, that was just it, right?
It was wherever you are as a performer, stop trying to fake where you start. Just wherever you are emotionally, start there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like begin there, work through it, and then get to wherever you are. And then you do a really good job of that. On days where you're like a little low or like morose, you'll literally be like, yeah, I'll do this. And then like 4 songs in, it's like, are you done? You're like, no. And then rock music for the next 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah.
Angry Zoe song.
Yeah.
There you
It's
go.
like, I'm working through something.
It's definitely
I'm
my
doing
emotional
something.
release.
It works, man. Like that's-
Meanwhile, I'm
like,
dissociating.
well, what she just described was like exactly how I would build a DJ set. You kind of throw together songs that you think are going to work together, songs that you like, that you want to play, and then you play them through a couple times. And like you said, like I'll chop songs out. I'll be like, that doesn't work, or I'll move it somewhere else so it works with something else. And then by the time you play that set, like 5 or 6 times, you're like, it's a banger. Like
Yeah.
you've got it dialed in pretty much. You know what you're doing, when you're supposed to be doing it. It's kind of like, it just like gives you the opportunity to like, also I record my stuff. Like I'll listen to it back and just be like, whoa, that was a horrible transition.
And that takes a lot of strength. So many artists don't do that.
Right.
They don't listen to themselves. They don't record themselves. They don't watch themselves.
I think it's super important, man. Like if you're not hearing back what the audience is hearing, like you're hearing something totally different. Like you're hearing what you think you want to hear and not what's actually coming out of.
You're hearing the intention, not the actual product. Yeah.
Right.
Our favorite quote between each other was, "Do you have any evidence for that?" "Yes, it was revealed to me in a delusion."
That's great. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that one.
I think it's pretty cool though
That's
that
awesome.
no matter what the art medium is, that it all kind of has that same. Like you can tell when it's coming from a place of passion, whether it's from a place of repetition.
Oh,
you know
for
what
sure.
I mean?
You
Like,
can
even your
tell if
sets,
you're not.
Yanni, that I've seen, they weren't the same. Like, yeah, maybe one or two jokes are repeated, but in a different way, in a different timing, in a different place in the set. So I think you definitely do a great job at keeping your sets fresh. So if you are out there going to see some comedy or the Prohibition show, I'm a repeat customer, so I would definitely recommend being a repeat customer for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, when did you start? Like, I know you touched on it earlier. You said you kind of got out of, what was it?
Musical theater?
Musical theater and got into comedy. When was that?
So that would have been, when was the quarantine lifted?
I don't
It would have
even
been like
remember.
2022.
4 years ago. I started at the Grizzly House like right when
so
the first Stampede reopened.
March.
Yeah, 4 years ago. July.
Yeah.
No, that's 2020.
2020?
Because it's 2024
Oh, yeah,
now.
maybe.
So 2021.
Oh God!
20 of them,
How
yeah, I
many
don't
people does
know.
it take to calculate a
This
year?
is crazy.
It's
So
been a
it's
while.
nuts.
It's been a while.
It's the pandemic, like it blurred everything together.
So yeah, I read an article about this saying that without all the like normal events that you have in a year, Christmases, birthdays, stuff we were celebrating with your family, the time actually is perceived differently.
Yeah.
So it's like it is hard to recall those times specifically because it all kind of merges into one weekend.
Yeah, that was a long time of sitting
Dude,
around.
pre-pandemic feels
That was awesome.
like 52 years ago.
right? Like
Yeah, it's wild. Like, well, especially here, we had like what 90%, 98% of town was laid off in like a day. It was wild.
For sure.
Because there's nothing to do here except work in a hotel or work in a restaurant.
Yeah.
All 7,000 of us just were like, "Hey, man, like, what are you doing? You want to hang out or like
give us that
you wanna
government
play some-
money.
You
Yeah.
want to play some Xbox?
The fact that
online or
you guys
something?
were drag racing scooters down Banff Ave is like.
well, I mean
That'd be
that birthed
Oh
this
wait,
idea.
no,
So
we couldn't even hang out.
Yeah, we couldn't hang
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
That's
I
right, yeah.
completely forgot.
Yeah, we couldn't even go hang out. Like I just played.
Oh my God, that
I
was
played
crazy.
so much Xbox. I was tired of it. I wrote like a whole album worth of music, which was a bonus. But other than that,
I think it kind of went one way. You either were productive and
Yeah.
enjoyed your
Yeah.
time, or you
Yeah.
went the other way and became a total piece. I kind of flirted both lines, actually. I
Yeah.
started the pandemic as a piece of shit and then finished it off.
you
better
were
than I
just
started.
like, I'm just gonna chill and like get ripped.
I got real drunk at the beginning. Like I was posting on social media. I had to go back, and when we started the pod, I went back and deleted a bunch of stuff because I was like
sick.
trying
That
to post jokes and stuff
pre-podcast
online, and it was
cleanse.
like,
They're like,
oh my god,
we cannot have this. available.
Writing comedy when you have cabin fever is
But
not.
it was.
But
Like,
you're
I think I was trying to write jokes and trying to be like funny, like internet funny.
But
And,
yeah,
like,
some of the shit
yeah.
you were posting on Overheard was actually pretty fucking funny.
Were
Yeah.
you and your husband in Calgary during pandemic?
No, I didn't.
You guys were in Edmonton.
We were in Edmonton.
Ah, fuck it, that's even worse.
Oh,
That's
okay.
even. I don't
At
know
least
why.
we had the outdoors here that we could get out. Like
Yeah.
you'd go out for
Yeah,
a
once
walk
they kinda
after dinner
lifted-
time, and you'd see nobody.
Oh, it was
sick.
nuts. And the only
That's-
people you did see
the
were
deer walking around.
That's
being like,
horror
"Where is
movie
everyone?"
material. Yeah,
100%.
that's
it was-
Chernobyl.
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a ghost town. It was
It was
insane.
dope.
It was awesome to have that
I feel like I'd have
experience
so
to
much
like.
anxiety.
If-
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes me
that's
really
so-
uncomfortable.
If 17th Avenue, Stephen Avenue, downtown Calgary felt like that for us, I can only imagine. Like
Well,
Kevin's
the park,
right.
the
This
whole park
place-
was empty. You couldn't
Yeah.
go anywhere. Like, yeah, you'd go out and there's just nothing, dead. Just it was weird.
When I was
super weird.
when I was a teenager, my mom and I were doing a road trip and we stopped in Revelstoke, and this is long before the pandemic. And And I remember walking down the main street in Revelstoke. And you know how sometimes when it's like you're in a library or a museum or something and it's so quiet, you're like whispering because you don't really want to break the quiet. It was like that on their main street.
Oh, for
and
sure.
that continues to haunt me to this day.
That's
I've
wild.
had nightmares about that shit. So like, yeah, walking around Banff during the pandemic, no, thank you. I will pass. Thank you so much. I've walked into The Last of Us, literally. Like, that's a nightmare.
100%.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like
Yeah.
Revelstoke.
Deer
Did they
having
shoot a bunch of it
cigarettes.
here?
10 years ago, it was more like a mining town. Like,
Yeah, it was brutal.
Revelstoke's had this weird influx with the
A
ski
little bit of a
industry has
renaissance,
brought
yeah.
a lot of development
Yeah,
there.
pretty much.
But yeah, 10 years ago, like there's a huge portion of the Revelstoke population that is like super against the development that comes with the ski hill and that because
Yeah.
of that
Okay.
reason. Because it used to be like
Chill.
a super dead mining town. for
We
sure.
moved here. We made all our money mining. We wanted to retire here.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
off my lawn.
Without- yeah.
Get off my lawn. So like before the pandemic, I thought about it. Someone undercooked a bat. We all went home. And then pretty much once the pandemic was lifted, I ran a show before the pandemic at Three Boys Lounge on McLeod Trail.
Cool.
And it was my way of I've always been a fan of comedy, but I
Cool.
never really thought of myself as a comedian. I always was told like, "Oh, you're so funny, you should try comedy." But I loved theater.
Mhm.
Like, dude,
Right.
like
And it's not that far off, right?
Yeah, like
realistically,
playing- doing theater shows. Kevin and I will like it's amazing. Like I always wanted to be like either on Broadway,
Right.
off Broadway, do something theater Calgary.
Cool.
But then I just started realizing that I don't really like the community that I work with. It feels a little bit too cliquey, so I'm going to go for maybe just a couple months
It's worth mentioning that Yiannis was part of a very specific community
dinner theater.
of
Ah.
a theater community. It's just worth mentioning.
How does that differ from?
It's just was the
Yeah, so
It's
everyone
just
where I am,
it's just different.
yeah,
It's
everyone
just
where
different.
I am thinks that they're this high level like theater actor.
Okay.
And then what ended up happening to me was after 14 years of working in like dinner
Right,
theater and or like whether it be like Jubilations or stage dress or anything like that.
Cool.
Any real theater would look at my resume
and go.
guffaw.
Yeah.
Like it's like this isn't what the fuck is right. Wipe their lunch
They
with
just
it
don't
and then
really
throw it away.
count it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like,
And I don't make that interjection to be like it didn't count. I mean,
No.
what you're saying is not necessarily an indictment of the entire Calgary
Yeah,
theater
and it's
community.
People may
Yeah.
see it as a less respectable
Precisely.
art form. Is
and
like,
it's unfair because I'm
It's still
who I
acting.
am, like killing it because I went to that university of knowledge, right?
Right.
Whether it be
For
improv or
sure.
anything, but on paper it's valueless. So I had two options. I'm like, do I go and try to go into serious theater, whether it be theater, Calgary, Lunchbox Theater, anything like that, or do I
Right.
try and write my own words and be funny? And then the first night I went out, I met this wonderful girl by the name of Nina Wilder. She had
Cool.
like messaged me before and she was like, you should try doing some comedy. There's an improv night or a bucket night at the Dirty Duck.
Cool.
And I had met not Nina, but I'd met a bunch of the guys that run the Dirty Duck when
Right.
I produced my own show. And I was like, that seems comfortable. I'll go down. And because I have to pick audience suggestions out of a bucket, I'm comfortable with improv. Like this should be a walk in the park.
home run
Right.
for sure.
It was. And
Nice.
then the rest is history. I've been
Cool.
in this, I've been here ever since. I
He
never, I
hasn't
didn't,
shut up since.
pretty much. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
What made you want to add music into your routine? Like,
Comedy shows are fucking boring.
Yeah, right.
And like
Yeah.
they're
You said that
almost
before, yeah.
collectively everywhere I go, boys clubs of dudes that will tell you how good they are at comedy. No one laughs at what they're saying. How great they are at running shows. They never sell any tickets. Right? It's just a bunch of dudes trying to be geniuses to one. Like the Calgary comedy community has the most geniuses per square meter than any group in the world, but they're all doing the exact same thing and accomplishing the exact same amount of nothing.
right.
So I was like, something has to change.
Cool.
Whether it's music or a guy put a guy
Juggling.
doing yo-yo. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like-
We've got our
like,
next
Is
act.
that why that's in my brain?
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
whole
yeah.
case-
Yeah,
there's a whole
yeah.
case of them right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, yeah.
juggling. Just like passive aggressively on the side of the road. What do you guys do?
Passive aggressive
Yeah.
juggling.
Yeah, you
Well-
just juggle. It's like there's a comedy show on this.
Here's
juggling makes me
here's the
pissed
other
off.
thing. It makes a lot of sense with the Prohibition show
sure.
because everybody loves to talk about vaudeville. There is nothing stopping us from having a vaudevillian experience now.
Right.
Truly. There's nothing stopping us from having a variety type show of like this person's tap dancing and this person's telling jokes and this person singing. So really, there aren't a whole lot of opportunities to go to like a vaudeville style show, but that's really what we're doing.
Well, there just aren't
And
there just aren't a lot of those venues around,
exactly.
right? Like it's the same thing playing in a metal band. There's only you're pretty friggin' limited. You're not going to go to a pub and play there. You know what I mean?
The
Like,
Legion doesn't necessarily want you there.
Yeah, the Legion doesn't necessarily want us in there yelling fuck. At the
Yeah.
top of our lungs, playing 8-string guitars. Are like, back in my day,
Yeah, guitars only had 6 strings.
Now I got 8.
Yeah, you had to make them from your own sinew. Yeah. So I think Prohibition, it just makes a lot of sense for it to be a variety style show
For
because
sure.
the era aligns so nicely. Like Julie Andrews started on vaudeville. Like
Right.
vaudeville has this incredible, like rich, but also like lower class history. And Yanni and I were joking about calling our tour this summer upper middle trash. Because
like that. I
it
like that.
encapsulates
That's
what we
great.
do pretty
That's
well.
really
It's like
good. That's
classy,
good.
but
I
is
fully
it though?
support that name.
Is it though?
Yeah.
And that's vaudeville, right? That's what that is.
Yeah.
And so I think adding music, or even if it was juggling, or a guy with a yo-yo,
Or a
tech
fire,
decking,
like,
yeah,
I
fire
can do that
eater.
too.
Sick. You're a man of many talents. What a gifted
How
man.
fucking funny would that be? You went to a comedy show and you're like,
You're
ladies
like-
and gentlemen, for your enjoyment, 60 minutes of tech. And this guy brings out a text, like, and he just gives it, like, 30 seconds in, you'd be like, yo.
And then you'd be like,
dude,
so
you see
this
that?
is really the whole set, huh? Yeah. So like, it just kind of makes sense, especially at Prohibition.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We got to tip our hat to you guys for changing the game and bringing something fresh to the scene. Like, that's a great idea.
No doubt.
Definitely give yourselves a pat on the back.
You got to go check that out, buddy.
And I think one thing is like,
go for road trip.
you know, like your transition from, you said, dinner theater into doing your own thing. If you don't like what's going on,
Change it.
go out there and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's tip my
Fucking
hat
A.
to you for
No
doing your
doubt.
own thing.
There is a chick that I am so fond of. There is a woman, a
This is-
beautiful woman. Please cut
A
that
whole
out.
person.
Correction.
Yeah, a
She
whole
will-
person.
It's because we're just
Yeah.
talking about vaudeville. I'm in the 1920s right now.
No. Don't blame the 1920s for that.
There are so
Don't
many
pin that on the
people
plate.
that go through companies like that, and yeah, consider this. I hope these big companies do hear this as a warning, because
But also
whether
don't
it's
steal our bit.
whether it's Saturday Night Live or like small theaters like that, you folks are producing these artists that
Right.
can't do anything else where you are, right? They'll sit there and they'll be like, oh, we should try this and this and this. And you say, oh, no, we can't risk that with our audience. Or, oh, no, we want to play it conservatively. We don't want to do this.
Right.
And then they go out and they do their own thing and it's multitudes better. And you'll never
For
even,
sure.
like, I think
True.
it's time for people to start not listening to every artist, because a lot of us are useless, but like trying to figure out, trying to get a better gauge of like whether someone is in the game wholeheartedly.
For sure.
Because
Let's go,
when
Action.
you're
Thanks for the
passionate
shout-out,
about
buddy.
something, just let them run, let them go for it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think not fitting into the status quo is increasingly becoming a good thing,
Yeah.
especially in that realm. Like you said, every comedy show kind of has that same format, bringing something different. Like a person that enjoys comedy might enjoy singing too. Like, who doesn't like a live performance of
Yeah.
music? I feel like that touches, especially like you said, in that setting, like the Prohibition Bar and Lounge seems like a beautiful setting to go listen
It
to.
is,
is.
and it feels
style
safe.
performance.
And
and
their
it-
cocktails are crazy.
Oh my gosh, they're
Sean's
amazing.
There's one cocktail, when they're like special cocktails, it literally comes out in like a cabinet, like
Yeah.
a whole ass It's
Crazy.
It's a production.
I
Yeah.
feel like you have to, if you're going to be a Prohibition era style bar,
Yeah.
your cocktail game has to be next
They
level.
bring out
Did
the
they have a
moon
good
with
old
one.
fashioned?
Yeah, and it's insane. It looks
Nice.
like one from the old movies too.
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
Sean, the proprietor there, and his wife Sabrina, they like try really hard. They've designed all the cocktails themselves.
Okay.
And some of them are so simple that you can't believe it, and then some are so over the top that when
Nice.
they're served during the comedy show, we're like, could you not have ordered a beer?
Or just like wait till the set's over.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Oh, they're like out singing a song,
Someone's
like carrying it over.
Walking
yeah.
over a cabinet while you're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I made a joke
literally.
the other day. I tried to call him, and he texted me back like, I'm in a meeting. Like, just text me. I'm like, as if you're probably designing like a tiny Zeppelin that flies
Yeah.
to tables to drop
Would
off.
not put it past them.
Yeah.
That's all. These guys just got a little like hydrogen filled explosive device.
Yeah,
that flies-
and as it lands and burns away.
Yeah, it just burns away. I like the Hindenburg. That'd be awesome. dude.
Wild stuff. So yeah, go down if you get some. If you're at the Prohibition Bar, make sure you dip into those cocktails. They sound
They're
fantastic.
unreal. They are a production.
It's a whole experience
Yeah.
for sure.
Well,
it's so cool.
I guess this question kind of goes like all for everyone. Like, what are some of y'all's influences? As
Yeah,
far
some of your
as
favorite artists, singers, some of your favorite comedians, maybe.
actors, comedians.
Because you got
Ladies
kind of
first.
like
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie on you. Now that I'm sitting next to you in the light, like I've only seen you in dark bars. You kind of got a Norm Macdonald look.
Nah.
I can see it.
I feel like I'm kind of sitting next to young Norm here a little bit.
We had a buddy. We have a buddy out in Calgary. His name is Joshua Moffat, and I want his DNA because the way he talked, like
Right.
the very first day we ever saw Joshua, he goes up on stage and he's like, "You guys ever wonder, like you're walking through a park, and that's just how he
Oh,
speaks."
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and
just
I'm like-
nailed it.
and I'm like, "Dude, do you know who Norm Macdonald is?" And I'm like, he's like, "Nah," and I'm like, "But you've heard of him?"
What?
And he's like, "Yeah, I've seen him in movies." And I'm like, "Do you know who your father is?"
It's like, did
Like-
you maybe the milkman there was you know what I'm
Making
saying?
some
Dipping
extra
in,
delivery.
Yeah. Hey, Norm used to tour through small town Alberta. Josh, if you're watching this, I want your hair. I want your hair. I don't want to be your mom. But no, I guess the Holy Trinity for me was Burr. Yeah, it would have been Burr, Carlin, and I really love Jon Stewart.
Cool.
Have you seen Burr giving Bill Maher shit like last week or whatever?
No, is that new?
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
god, it was so good. Bill Maher had him on his podcast, and they start bringing up Palestine and all this stuff. And Bill
Oh,
Burr's
God.
just like, "Who are you, man? Like you're one of us. You're just a comedian. Like you're not a political analyst. What have you done?" And
What-
it's an awesome bit.
Wow, what's the guy that he just released a? I can't remember. It wasn't Mike Birbiglia. I'll find out who it was, but somebody just released a special, and he's like, "Stop asking comedians what they think about anything."
Mhm.
No one in the history
Yeah.
of time has ever gone, "Holy crap, this is a huge political issue.
Yeah.
What do the clowns think?"
Yeah. Somebody ask Patton Oswalt quickly.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, God.
Seinfeld says that in an interview, and he's like, "Who made comedians the ones to draw the line? Like we're there to flirt with the line. We're not there to put the line in the sand.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
why are you taking our jokes?
We're here
for-
to date minors and not talk about politics.
Oh, God.
Yeah, which
So
is why
good.
it's like so incredible and why I steal so much of Zoe's, like the things that Zoe says. A majority of the things that I say are things that come out of Zoe's mouth because there's like comedians joke. We walk a tightrope on social commentary.
Oh, big time.
Like if you're thinking about it and you don't really want to say it, I will.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. And then my job is to make it feel like your fault that you never said anything in the first place, but not make you feel bad for holding it in. Does that make sense?
Like
Yeah, I
making
get
it,
that. I get that.
making it like it's wrong, but it's palatable.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
okay.
to speak.
like we were all thinking it sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
we need to discuss this. It's a normal issue. And then sort of ask like the questions, who is making us or what is making us not want to talk about it?
okay.
And then break down those walls. And if you can do that properly, then you can make what's happening in our social lives funny.
Well, honestly, I think that's one of the questions that I usually like to ask comics is how do you approach those sensitive topics? And I think you just nailed it on the head right there for sure.
Oh my God, April. I think my favorite example of that was what happened to me during Ramadan.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, I'm telling the story. All right. So,
Oh, no. Here we go.
in-
On the way here, he's like, I'm not going to do any of my material on the podcast.
I'm not. This isn't material.
And here
This
he
isn't
is
true.
doing
No,
material.
this
it's
is
true, but it's
yeah.
material.
So what? Like, we had the eclipse,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
the rules of Ramadan are you can't, like, as you're observing the fast, you can't eat while sun. So while we were watching it in Toronto with a bunch of our friends, the moment that there was full totality, I opened a bag of chips.
I know. I knew where this was going.
Yeah. Yeah, and
You see
all
why
everyone my age was like, "You disrespect, like you're so disrespectful." And there's like one old guy looking at me, be like,
Nailed it. That's a once in a life. Like, how do you miss that opportunity, man? That's a once
This guy
in a
read the
lifetime.
rules.
Yeah.
I've lived 64 years. I've never seen anyone pull that shit. This guy read the rules.
Change the game, baby.
And
that's
so
so
stuff
good.
like that. I will never stop telling that joke.
See, it's material.
You know,
Confirmed.
fuck. I'll never stop telling because I don't think that it. I know that it broaches something that's serious to a bunch of people,
Right.
but it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't offend anybody. It goes.
It dances the line.
It precisely,
Right.
and it
Dances
reads
the
in
line.
between them in a way that makes you think, and that's just good comedy.
Right.
I would agree with you
Yeah,
there.
it's my
100%.
only good joke in 3 years.
Well, I think that's kind of like that's kind of a sign of a good comedian, like the comedians that can take it like right to the edge where you're just like, ooh, like I wouldn't have said that, maybe.
That's all of
like,
Yiannis said. Is me
but,
going,
like,
I wouldn't
Yeah.
have said that. but-
very well put, sir. Very well put. Thank
But
you.
again, one point to drive home is that these are jokes. It doesn't represent your actual ideology. Like, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's like picking up a book of fiction, right? Like, sure, you might pull some stuff from your real life, but these stories are sometimes embellished or whatever for the show. Like, and I believe comedy's kind of taking that tipping point. It's coming back to where people can be a little bit more edgier. People are getting
Yeah,
to say
There
what
is
they
a
want.
cultural
Yeah.
renaissance coming, and a lot of people, dude. When was the last time that you ever saw Joe Rogan, Ari Shaffir, Bill Burr, anyone in a room together without roasting each other at least once?
Oh, exactly.
Very true.
If you roast anybody in Alberta, they're going to put a Facebook post up about how, like, oh my God, we
Like-
worry about sensitivity.
I think
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know what happened in the past few years. Like no one can take a joke anymore. It's like everything's offensive to everybody, and it's just like
I think it's about where you're punching.
yeah.
If you're
guess, yeah.
punching down, why is that funny? Punch up.
well,
Always
exactly.
punch up.
Always punch up.
Dave Merege made
Yeah,
a very good
exactly.
comment on that. He's like, you don't have to tear anyone down to build yourself up,
Yeah.
basically, was what he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That makes like such a good point. You can flirt the line with different issues and stuff as long as you're not using someone else to lift yourself
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Like you can call attention to important issues or make jokes about them as long as it's, you know, elevating them or bringing positive attention to them, not negative attention to them.
I
right?
firmly believe if you are a white comic and you are not making jokes about how being white is ridiculous, you are fumbling the bag because like there's nothing funnier than being like, holy shit, this one group of people kind of fucked up the whole planet. We've been spiraling upwards for centuries. And if you are a white comic and you're not tapping into that and you're busy, you know, being like, if you, Indian guy in the front row, aren't at the 7 or like if you're here, who's running the 7-Eleven down the street? That's lazy and I have
Yeah.
no time for lazy
No,
comedy.
great.
Yeah.
There's no, because like you can make racial jokes about being white that
For
are
sure.
funny and at our expense. We can take it.
Yeah.
We
think
can
you're
take
right there.
it. We're fine. We've been in power in most ways for you know
Millennia,
a
basically.
long time.
Yeah, no
So
doubt.
like I think there's always a way. Well, maybe not always. I think this is a nuanced topic. I think there's mostly a way to broach sensitive topics and be self-deprecating
Mhm.
and give everyone permission to laugh and not actually punch down.
Right.
Absolutely. I think I would definitely agree with you
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
for sure.
No doubt.
There's
I
a
mean-
room full of white people. At least I think everybody here's
Yeah.
white.
Yeah.
Then
Food
Have
family.
you seen this on camera? Look at this. I'm basically a ghost. I'm like translucent.
well, as a naturally blonde, blue-eyed person, I try not to assume anyone else is white because you know
Fair.
I'm extra white.
Oh God.
It's like it's like Russell Peters taught us like how to make fun of culture through food, family, love.
Right.
Like those
Very
are like
good
the three things that
Mhm.
every single culture is going to go through them:
Right.
food, family, love.
True.
Make fun of something that is so stereotypically obvious that you can't ignore it, and then that's just
Well, that's awesome, guys. Back to a little bit of your
Influences.
influences.
Yeah.
For the ladies, singing influences, favorite singers, anyone like who would you say you saw when you were young and you're like, that's what I want to do?
Oh God, any of the Disney princesses. It's literally led me to my lot in life. So like,
Yeah.
definitely a lot of stuff like from Disney helped influence me. It helped me build my voice to where it is and like get that soprano area because you know that was the dream. And then further along the line, because I grew up listening to country a lot with my family, they're full Alberta redneckers. So like
Burton.
Alberta. And
Alberta.
so like I'll get like a little bit of country, and then I have rock, and then
Cool.
it's so all over the place that it's hard to even pinpoint direct people, because it's like
Okay.
so many from this genre did, and then this genre, and it's just
For Spotify.
It's a
little
lot.
bit.
That's
Yeah.
like mine
It's a lot.
too.
We
Like-
listened to it on the way
It's
up,
like
and it was
Mulan
like,
and then
what are
Megadeth.
we doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lucas from Coyotes there, he was like, we listened to like my liked songs for like the whole day we're down there doing prep. He's like, this is the most eclectic group of songs I think I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, just went from like drum and bass to deathcore to like now we're listening to like one of the Bach cello suites, I would assume, and it's I don't know what's going next, but I'm like, yeah, it's a little weird.
How do you decide to take like a non-lounge or jazz style song? Like what attracts you to convert those over? Is there any
I've
is there any
actually always
particular
wondered this
sound?
too.
Is there
So a
any-
lot of it is what we can find tracks of,
Okay.
because neither Zoe nor I are composers, unfortunately. We have a composer that may be willing to do some stuff for us, but he's also like a puppeteer and an actor, and
Okay.
he's a busy boy.
Yeah.
Man. He's a grown man. He's
He's
a whole
grown.
entire man. So a lot of it is what can we already find? What have people already done that we can cover their cover?
Cool.
But you know, we'll go looking. Like I said, I've been looking for a cover of Welcome to the Black Parade because I think it would be fun to do a jazz cover of that.
Nice.
And also my brand insists that I do. My brand of lounge singer, but she's actually just singing emo music from her youth. That's a lot of what it is. And then it's just like, does it speak to us, and does it work? Like
can you make it sound good? Right?
yeah, like I found a
Yeah.
cover. I found a jazz cover of Dance Dance by Fall Out Boy, and I love it, and I want it to work so bad, but the track just isn't great.
Mhm.
And I think I could make it great, but as it is right now, it's not worth putting into my set. I tried. It just doesn't. There's not enough variation in it. It's just not going to work.
So I guess lots of trial and error. Not everything's a
Yeah.
home run when you
Yeah.
think like when you put it down on paper, you're trying
Yeah.
to figure it out. Very interesting stuff.
Well,
for
and
sure.
that's why even like the busking comes in handy as well, because we'll
Can try
try out
stuff.
new stuff while we're busking. We'll be like, I've never sang this into like the system before, but we'll see how it sounds. Like there was even, I was singing Sex on Fire while busking, and Yiannis like, I don't know if we should keep that because it sounds so weird coming through the speaker.
Yeah, sometimes the track's also just
Sorry.
like I have a track that I've stopped using that it's bass heavy, and it's too bass heavy for our can't remember the acronym.
Like for the room or for like
no, for the
the vibe,
for the PA.
the style,
Like
okay.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just too much.
Because like one of the biggest problems that these girls have is that they deserve like a live band,
Mhm.
and right
we're
now,
working with tracks.
yeah, right now it's just tracks.
Yeah. So that has a lot to do with how we find what covers we want to do. I have a bunch that I want to try for my next set that I need to kind of edit into a track.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's always a struggle if you don't have a sound guy or like a good sound guy or
We have a potato,
Yeah, we have a flying potato.
a
There you
baked
go.
potato. We're going to have to tell the flying story later. Let me get through my influences
Yes.
and then we can tell why
Yes.
it's a flying potato. So when I, God,
I was.
when I was a teen, I've already harped on it, but like it was not a phase, Mom. I still listen to the music I listened to when I was 13, 14. And it still makes me feel just as much as it made me feel back then, with a few exceptions. I remember when I was in like my full Nexopia era, listening to Fall
I
Out
almost
Boy.
turned to dust.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm old. Listening to Fall Out Boy, and it was back when like if you don't listen to pop punk, emo, hardcore, screamo, metal, you're not like you've bad taste in music. And then I was watching a video of Patrick Stump, the vocalist for Fall Out Boy, warm up, and he was singing "Caught Up" by Usher.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And like really, it's a workout, right? There's a lot of so caught up, like there's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of mobility up there. And that kind of opened my eyes to like, even if you don't like a genre of music, and I assume he likes R&B, I know he likes R&B, there's value in it, and to not be, you know, quite so myopic about music. And I was a teenager, right? I had strong opinions about everything, but that changed the way I approach music. Like even when I was in my post-hardcore band, I was singing like R&B and soul riffs because that's what I like to sing and that's what I find challenging. And so he made a big difference for me. The obvious one is Hayley Williams, and I'm from Paramore, which I hate making that comparison because when I was touring with my band, people would be like, "Hey, Hayley," and I'd be like, "We don't even play the same genre of music. Like, get out of here." But still, she was the first woman I saw on stage playing music that I didn't consider pop, and she wasn't doing it in a dress and heels. She was dressed like, and she does more now, but she was wearing skinnies and t-shirts and Vans just like the boys, and I didn't want to be. I wanted to make like pop punk or hardcore, and I didn't want to use the fact that I'm a woman to do it. I wanted to just be like everybody else, which was mostly guys. So that she obviously made a huge difference to me. And then even just from like a performance standpoint and from like a creative director standpoint, John Mulaney, I think he is a technician at what he does.
Nice.
I think he's such a strong writer, and he translates his writing skill so well to his performing skill. Yanni and I've been trying to watch Baby J together for literal months at this point, and he will not watch it with me, and it's so good.
We've been so busy.
Yeah, those are some of my big influences. And then also, like, I'm classically trained, right? So, my cousin, who's younger than me, but she's an incredible jazz singer, and I've modeled a lot of how I sing after how she sings.
Cool. I'm sorry to interrupt, but for like classically trained, for those that don't know, what would that mean when it comes to singing?
So a lot of people would think of opera, which isn't quite what I did, but it's adjacent. So it's classical music. It's like Mozart. A lot of people think of like
notes, hitting like
it's an older school technique. If you really want to get technical, it's instead of being very forward. Usually when you're singing, especially modern music, you want to feel the resonance right here. When you're singing classical, it's way back behind your soft palate, which is very lifted. And like, like a lot of people will think of like the Queen of the Night aria, like that. That's what I mean when I'm talking about classical music. It's what you think of when you think of opera and old singing. So that's what I'm trained in.
So like very technically different.
Very technically different.
Interesting
it's
stuff.
almost a different instrument.
Because I'm sitting here thinking like I don't know what classically trained.
Yeah,
means, you know what I mean?
That's what I always say. Like with like fiddle and violin. Like I grew up classically trained. Like our RCM.
Yeah.
Like
RCM exams are my nightmare.
Oh man, yeah. It's like they were horrible. You had to sight read stuff, but it's the same. Like that to playing fiddle is almost a completely different instrument. Yeah, it's just like
very
so
good comparison. I think
like the techniques are so different and so wildly like on opposite ends of the spectrum that it's like its own kind of separate instrument. And a lot of people will think that too. They're like, "Oh, you play violin or do you play fiddle?" It's like, well, it's a
different
same thing.
It's a different dialect.
Of
the same language. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's in singing. You've got your head voice and your chest voice. So for men, your head voice is falsetto. For women, it's just called a head voice. And I didn't sing in my chest voice until I was like 15 or 16.
Crazy.
Because I was only singing like Disney
Yeah.
and classical. And you just, especially with opera, you don't really use your chest voice. And then I was singing post-hardcore, and I was only using my chest voice for years, which I probably did some serious damage to my voice. And now I've got a relatively good balance.
Nice.
I've done a lot. I've done it all in terms of singing.
What are some of the like techniques that you would use to keep your singing voice up to shape if you're performing every week? That's probably something you have to be on top of, right?
Lots of tea.
Lots of tea. Singing a lot, singing gently a lot. It's a muscle.
For sure. You'd like work it out.
Yeah, but also not strain it, right? That's important. Warming up, breath work. You can do some great breath exercises through a straw that are really helpful. A lot of lip rolls, like you do a lot of those. Yeah.
I've never warmed up once.
Oh,
Yeah,
I-
well,
I was just
This is like, I tried to get through this. Professionals, like 100%.
Yeah,
This is why,
definitely,
like, it's absolutely insane. I used to be backstage and people would be like going through, like, me. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I feel like if I warm up, I'll wear it out.
it's like using
No.
it finally.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. No. It's been
Yanni's
fine.
like, I'm gonna chug whiskey and smoke a
Yeah,
pack of cigarettes
It's
to warm
been
up.
I
fine.
think
the
the
way
damage
that,
that done to his voice already is just irreparable at this point.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to let it go. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the same. It's crazy because we're about to go on tour and they're like our group chat is like, you're gonna need oil of oregano and something. Make sure you're not talking.
use oil of
Make sure
oregano.
you're talking.
Don't put oils in your throat. Stop it.
Yeah. That's not
Again,
good.
don't know. See?
Yeah, I don't
See?
I
think
will bring my
Anytime
steamer
I
voice.
throw her,
Yay!
I can steam
I
your
would drink
voice.
so much oil of oregano, it just tasted like,
Oh, that'd probably make it so much worse.
no, it's amazing.
I don't think you're supposed to ingest those oils.
I was
No.
told oil of oregano is good for your
Who
throat.
told you that?
Some guy.
We are not doctors here on the Overheard podcast, so
Don't
do not
do
take
that.
this as medical
Please don't
advice.
consume oil of any kind.
Yeah, that's
Just
like
on
people
its
at
own.
work eating
I'm
a
sending
bag,
this
man.
video to so many of you. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that are gonna get this with just the words oil of oregano. Like,
That'll be the clip. We'll have to get a clip of oil of oregano, and then just have an ad for like oil of oregano. If any oil of oregano companies want to reach out,
Yeah,
and sponsor the
sponsor
show,
us.
Yeah,
really.
we'll say chug as much oil of
Yeah.
oregano
episode
as you want.
18: oil of oregano and one black coffee.
Yeah.
how much oil of oregano can you drink in
One
one
black
sitting?
coffee.
Wild. What advice could you give to anyone who's wanting to start out in comedy, in singing, in performing, musical theater? What advice would you guys give? What would you have done differently, let's say, starting out?
Don't be afraid to start out because like if you hold yourself back from actually opening for opportunities, you're just going to close more doors than you did to in the first place. Like with Yanni, my first week performing at Prohibition, I could barely hold the microphone or even my cell phone because like my hands were shaking so bad. And that was
Oh, yeah.
a huge reason on why I had a hard time even wanting to get into performing again. And he's just kind of like, but there's going to be so many opportunities. If you do it, just give it a try, see if you enjoy it. And that's really all you have to do is dip your toe in it, see if it actually is for you
Mm-hmm.
and go from there.
No doubt.
Don't see it as a end all kind of decision.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, I still get nervous before every set, and I played like I've done
Hundreds
like
of them.
600 DJ sets. I've done like hundreds and hundreds of live shows over like 5 different bands and groups, and filling in for guitarists, and it's just like
And that's why you're
and
good at
you-
your job.
right. And you get nervous because you want it to go well, and then
Yeah.
For
like
sure.
it's like 45 seconds to like 2 minutes in, you're like, okay, I'm killing this. We're vibing. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
it's once you kind of get over that initial like, holy shit.
You just
There,
got
all these people are watching me right now. Do not fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like once you get over that, and like no one cares anyway.
I've never seen a Formula One driver before a race starts in the car like
Yeah,
this.
no
they're,
doubt.
They're
Yeah,
all
they're-
like, oh,
Oh, concentrating. Like, oh yeah.
You know this feeling.
For
Whatever
sure.
feeling this
That's
is.
you
what
don't
Team-
have a lot of space in the car.
That's,
You're like,
that's from Team
I'm
America.
trying-
That's from Team America when they're like, if you think they're onto you, just give us a signal. Do you remember the signal? And he's like, yeah. And he just goes, it's so good. It's
that's the thumbnail. All three of them.
all
Yeah.
three, yeah, all three.
I
Everybody's
hope
doing that.
so.
Kermit
for sure.
arms.
Good lord.
I-
Any advice to anyone starting out?
So, okay, less inspiring advice, but I will always advocate for find a voice teacher. Find a voice teacher, ideally who has a degree in vocal pedagogy rather than vocal performance, because they have studied how to teach voice. It's not like guitar where you can see what your fingers are doing.
Mhm.
Right.
You can't see what your vocal folds are doing. You can't see what muscles are tensed and what aren't. So they need to be trained to see those things, to making sure you're not ruining your voice, because it is possible to hurt yourself.
For sure.
And 2, Love that. That was cute.
Yeah, we nailed it. We fucking nailed that.
Precious. And number 2, to give you an honest but not judgmental response to your singing, because you're in your own
Right.
head, literally. You can't
Right.
necessarily tell what you sound like. Your friends and your family are going to want to be supportive, and that's wonderful. If you genuinely want to know how you sound, talk to a professional. It's their job to help you get better.
For
Well,
sure.
even our vocalist in our band, he goes to a vocal coach every
Yep.
week, and
It's-
he's screaming like he
Yes.
is just going boom.
Yep.
Like he's doing some insane things. Like it's just nuts how deep you can get.
Well, and
Like, and it's
if you're
just a
screaming
lot
or
of-
growling, it's even more important
Oh,
too.
exactly. You
Because your
can
voice isn't
absolutely-
meant to do
Yeah.
that.
No, not at all. You can absolutely destroy your voice. And
Yeah.
like I've seen guys go out, like, oh, I can do this, and then one song,
Well, I
and
think
they're
you've
just
seen
going,
it. If you're into
Yeah.
that type of music, you've seen it a bunch of times.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Like Atreyu was one of the bands I used
Yep.
to be into in
Right.
my high school. I'm still into them. I'm saying I'm not into them anymore.
Well,
But yeah,
there's
they eventually had to soften their sound because the
Yeah.
lead
You just
singer
can't do
couldn't
it anymore.
Avenged, the guy
right.
from Avenged Sevenfold. That's
Same thing. Yeah, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
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 exploded.
Yeah, you exploded. Oh God. Yeah, it's just it's your voice itself is an instrument, and you have to take care of it. And I think, yes, getting out there and performing is, from a like psychological standpoint, super important. From a physiological standpoint, make sure you're doing it properly
Good point.
and make sure you're going to someone who's not just like people have asked me to teach voice lessons. I am in no way qualified to do it, and I won't, because I'm going to hurt somebody. I can't
Right.
see what's going on, and I'm not trained to look for the right things. So
Well, and you can't change those strings, right? It's not just like you
Nope.
don't just grab a new pack of vocal
True.
strings. You
yeah,
just like
you get one
yeah.
set, and if you give yourself things like vocal nodes, that's how Julie Andrews I don't talk about Julie Andrews all that much, but I've mentioned her twice in this podcast, so it's not a
It
great
seems like
sample.
maybe subconsciously you really like Julie.
Really love Julie Andrews. But like you have to take care of your voice if you want to sing. And the other thing is, they're going to help you get better, and they're also going to be honest with you about what's not working. So
Right.
you know what to focus on and grow in, but also like if you want to start performing right away, what is the best spot for you to start performing with, what your
Mhm.
range is, what style of music is right for you where your voice is now, rather
Okay.
than just trying to bully it into being what you want it to be.
It's all about knowing your limits, really.
Yeah.
Because like I can't sing some of the songs that Kev can sing
And I
because her voice can go a lot lower than mine can. And if I try to do it the way she's doing it, I'm gonna hurt my
Right.
vocals so bad. Same with like, no, never mind. There's no voice. There's no notes that I can't.
Yes,
But-
there are notes. There are notes that you can hit in a way that I cannot hit them. You can belt notes I cannot belt.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's that where she
And I
can't
don't-
do
I
what
don't
I,
even
can
try.
do sometimes because it's just you need to know your own limits on where you need to
Right.
stop. Because while you may get there one day, you don't
Mhm.
want to push yourself too hard now and
Yeah.
not be able to reach that
Right.
true potential you have.
Well, I saw Melissa Cross. She's like a super famous heavy metal like vocal coach. She's an older lady.
Yeah.
Absolutely kills. Like
the,
she
the
coaches.
tiny chick, like the tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, she's trained like everyone from like Arch Enemy,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
All Our Mains guys, like Bullet for My Valentine. It's like all those big guys that like just
She's
scream.
yours.
But she said like straight up, don't try to sing like someone else because you'll fuck your voice
Yep.
up.
Yep.
You can't make your voice sound like something it's not, and it's your voice. It's just
Yep.
it's not meant to work that way.
Yes.
Like you will fuck it up if you're trying to sing like the guy from Lamb of God. Like you're not Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, so
Yeah.
don't sing like that because you're gonna hurt yourself. Like he's trained his voice to do that.
That way.
You're not his. You don't have his vocal cords. They're completely
Yeah,
different, right?
like I said, it's like trying to play a guitar solo on a
Like a
xylophone.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you
Yeah,
might be able to
exactly.
hit the notes. It's not going to sound the same.
Okay.
no.
So like just be aware that that song might not be written for the
Cool.
xylophone.
Right.
So that's some great advice, honestly.
Thank you so much.
What about you, Yanni? You got any tips for any comedians looking to break out into the scene, or what?
Yeah. Probably some of the best advice that I was ever given came from Dale Ward. And it would be, I could probably give this to everybody. Don't listen to anybody, anyone. Just go out and watch the pros doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
If
make
you
your
have-
own. Like,
if you have time, go out and go to a club. Go to something like Yuck Yucks, Comedy Cave,
Yeah.
Laugh Shop. Watch the professional headliners that have made this their job,
Mhm.
and watch how they talk. Watch how they act. Watch how they're doing everything, and
Right.
most importantly, study that format,
Right.
so that you know what you're expected to do if you want to make this a career. If you want to make this a career,
Right.
holy fuck, there's so much advice.
Yeah.
I've been
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing coming in
Yeah.
I've been doing 14 years. I've been in entertainment,
Mhm.
and I didn't know that I could be in Hollywood right now if I just stopped doing everything I was doing and listening to everybody in Calgary comedy.
Okay, dude.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great point. Like we get the same thing with the pot. Everyone
Yeah,
has
yeah.
the best idea of
Everybody's
what you
done a
should be
podcast.
doing,
Yeah.
of what your next guest should be. Oh,
Right,
have
right.
you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? It's like,
Have you?
I appreciate it. Like we
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
the input and all that, but it's like at some point, like we're gonna do what's artistically right for us, and I think that's
Yeah.
a good thing that you have to stick by. Is like
Yeah.
you have to stick to your guns, what you think is cool. The second you start making content for other people or trying to please other people, say with your
Right.
singing or with your
Right.
set, trying to be funny to a specific demographic, trying to appeal to the masses, I think that's where you lose
Right.
Yeah.
what got you into it in the first
no,
place. You know?
yeah. Those who can't do teach, and every teacher is a fucking idiot. Like, there's nobody. What? I'm going to learn your curriculum, the curriculum that got you here. That's
Yeah.
a good curriculum. Or do I want to be like somebody like Tom Brady, who opens up
Somebody like Tom
doors
Brady.
and says, "Hi, I'm the
Tom
best
Brady.
decision you ever made." Like,
Yeah.
no, that's not what. It's
Well,
impossible.
you were like somebody like
Like
Tom,
Tom
Brady.
Brady.
Yeah, you know,
That's
decided-
me.
Right? Like I get messages from we used to have different variety shows all the time through the city.
Mhm.
Cool.
And I would get I would get phone
Right.
calls from people being like, "How do I get on Prohibition?" I'm like,
Right.
"You can't. I'm not talented enough to sing on Prohibition anymore." Right? Because it's not like, "Oh, you get this opportunity to like maybe try something." It's
For
like,
sure.
no, now it's a profession.
You have to be proven.
Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
the show starts, like this is how it is. We don't listen to anybody else. Every comic is like, "I don't really want to do a variety show." I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is because I don't have a magician. What I do have,
But we should
is
totally
I-
get a
We should
magician.
totally get a magician.
Oh, there you go.
just to piss everybody
I'll
off.
learn
But-
magic just for
yeah,
that.
but
That'd
what
be
we
great.
do have is doors that open to a speakeasy and a woman in a red dress singing what you would imagine would happen in a lounge, in a 1920s lounge, and then comedians begin. So if the theme of the room is so good that it bothers you, then I don't know what to tell you. But this is what professional entertainment
For
looks
sure.
like with a $0 budget.
Crazy.
Right.
So
Yeah.
imagine we had $4. Would you imagine what we could do with $4?
Dude, that'd be
Four
times better.
times what we're
That
doing
would
right
be
My
now.
goodness.
So yeah, my advice
Oh,
to
shit.
everybody is do your thing. Listen to your friends and let your friends be honest with you. We won't say his name, but we really respect comics. We've done a really good job, Zoe and I, of getting comics that when they come up to us and they're like, "How was the show?" It
Be
wasn't
honest.
great.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't your best. Like you.
Well, you want that feedback. Though,
Yeah,
right?
we
Like,
want you here. We had a guy last week. We were like, "It was fine," and he's literally like, "Don't you bullshit me!" like tell us 100%. So we want to build a community
Yeah.
that the criticism is positive. It's not trying to hurt you
Yeah.
unless you've really done. The only time that you're ever going to hear any hostility in this community is when the crowd suffered because of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which has happened.
Right?
Yeah.
That is the most.
Yeah.
That is sacrilege. Like that is it's heresy. It can't happen.
Yeah.
When
Sure.
you take out how you're feeling on the audience, that's the worst thing that can happen because
Right.
to every comic, where's the camera?
We got a couple.
Where's my camera?
It's not the audience.
Everyone.
It's you. It is just you. I've never had that problem. Whether it's 1 or 100 people, it is you.
Right.
If you can't break through to the audience and get them to work, it's not a low crowd. It's you.
The
it
other
was
thing
just
is-
you.
Sometimes, especially in a small room like Prohibition, it's just a quiet crowd. That doesn't mean they're not engaged and having a wonderful time. Sometimes you
Right.
will not get laughs and they're having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
I will not say who it is. We had a comic get so frustrated that he wasn't getting laughs that he quite literally screamed like, "Argh!" like was shaking into the microphone multiple times.
Oh wow.
I wanted to die.
That's a bad look.
That's-
Don't do
It's
that.
not a
That's a
good
bad
Don't
look,
do
man.
that.
Yeah.
He said right out loud, I want to kill everyone in this room and then myself, which could have been funny, but having just screamed into the
Yeah,
microphone a couple
no,
times,
that's-
it wasn't.
A lot of people
Yeah.
don't understand that the audience can see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like on stage. Well,
We
that's
Like-
heard you do that.
And,
You did
and
it
they're,
into
and
the
they're
microphone.
dealing with it at the exact same
dude,
time that you're dealing with it.
I always say, like, put on the exact same show, whether you're in front of 5 dudes in another band and
Yeah.
their 3 girlfriends or whatever,
Yeah.
and 2 of their friends, or you're in front of 50,000 people, because
Yep.
no one wants to book someone that just goes up there and half-asses it based
No.
on the crowd. Like,
Yep.
that's just a dick move in my book, and like, it's just fucking lazy, and it's like, it's childish. It's like, oh, there's not that many people here. Fuck it. I'm just gonna like stand here and
Shoegaze.
half-ass
And
my
you don't
set.
know who that
like,
is?
You know, like,
You don't know if that's like the
For
top
sure.
agent in the
Right.
in the
Yeah,
country
you
that's
don't
like,
know.
okay, no one's gonna be at that show tonight. I'm gonna go and pick the one comic who bombed the least out of
Right.
everyone in a tough room.
right. And that's what I mean. You don't know who's there. Like, there could be some Joe Blow at the bar that could be, you know, like, you guys want to go on tour.
Yeah.
Like, it's you don't
Well,
know. Like,
were you
don't
there at
shoot
that
yourself in the
show?
foot.
There was a show at the Rose Crown where the one dude, he was just at the bar. I think he was in the band. Were you at that show?
Oh yeah, the dude
And
that
he
came
had
in from Chicago.
The evil fucking Seth Rogen guy. Like, that was insane.
Evil Seth
Some
Rogen.
guy
I'm
came in from
intrigued.
Chicago. He's like, I'm a comic from Chicago. I'm
Wow.
doing a show here tomorrow. My band, actually. So we're like, oh, so you're a musician? He's like, and a comic.
Oh wow.
But every artist is a comic.
Here's
Everyone.
the thing. Especially singers, every singer wants to be a comic. Every comic wants to be a singer.
And every podcaster wants to be a comic. No.
Like, it's
I've been 2 out of 3, so comic is next.
There we go.
It's crazy. So yeah, they did. Gene and Chewy, they're like, yeah, and they put him up, and he was funny
Insane.
until the last minute and a half when I was like, everybody could tell that the beer hit. Like,
Yes.
yeah, it
'Cause
was.
he was,
It was exciting
pretty loaded for sure.
because it's almost like he remembered. He's like, my band's here tomorrow. What am I doing on this side? It's almost like he's like,
He came
where's,
too happy.
where's my
for-
band?
He's like, oh no. I was just like doing sound check, and next thing you know, I'm
you know,
on
the day
stage,
before
yeah.
sound check
Yeah.
that you do
Yeah.
sometimes.
It was
God,
wild.
That's hilarious.
The guy asked me to. He's like, I did Christopher Walken that night. And he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, you should sing a song tomorrow as Christopher Walken. I'm
Oh
like,
my
what?
God, like-
No.
Yeah, how many beers you had, bud?
Yeah, like,
Like,
impossible.
You good over there? Like,
That's what he does.
You all right, buddy?
Nickelback covers as Christopher Walken. That's an album.
There you go.
Oh
Good.
wow, what a niche!
What are some of the dates that you guys got coming up? Obviously, every Wednesday at the Prohibition.
Every
7 to
Wednesday at
9 is the
Prohibition.
show. Any other projects you got going on you want to plug before we move on to some Town of Banff stuff here?
Sometimes we do Friday nights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do some Friday nights at Tops, sometimes before their music bingo, which is super, super fun. So
Cool.
That's on
June
Fridays.
22nd, we have Tops Pizza. July, we're at Skunkworks Distillery. We moved our date to accommodate a group. Thank you so much to you folks. They bought out our whole room, so I will do whatever the fuck they ask of me.
Nice.
Yeah, every single Wednesday we're at Prohibition, and a couple months here we're gonna have the Banff Boys. So
Cool.
Chewy, Gene, Kyle, Alex.
Nice.
Hopefully you two as well.
Oh, we should go rip down for
Hell
that.
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Come
down.
down. We just want the show that you guys are having in Banff.
Right.
We just want to bring that like same thing to Calgary
Cool.
Hell yeah.
and let everybody know that there is a little comedy community out here that rules.
I know, man. It's
And then
awesome.
our tour starts August 15th. We'll be starting in Calgary and we'll be ending it August 30th in Pender Island.
Cool.
Nice.
Let's
Taking
go.
it on tour. That's got to be a
Hell
really
yeah,
exciting time for
dude.
you guys.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta be living the
Everyone
van
is
life.
so excited, and that's how I know that everyone in our community is full of shit. because I call people and I'm like, hey guys, do you do live music or comedy? They're like, oh, we usually do one or the other. I'm like,
I got
good,
both.
good
Guess
news,
what?
everyone.
Good.
Like,
Worst Professor Farnsworth
I
you
know.
could have
I
done.
had
Worst.
to. Good news. That's not
No,
bad.
no, not good.
Kiss.
Not good.
This can be edited,
Not your
right?
best.
Are we live now? Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
so yeah. So I call everybody and I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. We have live music and comedy. We have 2 lounge singers that open up the show. We don't expect anybody to listen. They're glorified radio. As
Wow.
everything. That's not what I say.
Wow.
But you can't hit
Tell
me
us how
over
you
here.
really feel.
Like you
So-
said, super professional.
So,
really good.
So we have as you're seating and everybody's eating, we have 2 lounge singers and then we have 3 comics and then the ladies finish off the night. They're
Cool.
like, oh, that's awesome. And then
Okay.
they think that we charge 6 or 7.
Yeah, yeah.
maybe we should.
Maybe we should.
Don't say
For
no.
Yeah, how
no,
dare you turn
No,
that
because-
down?
Talking us out of money.
No, because they turn us away. They're like, "Oh, we can't afford that." And I'm like, "No.
Jokes
Like,
on you.
yeah.
We are
We're
very
broke.
affordable.
Yeah. We're not.
Broke.
I'm not going to say what we do charge at the risk of every comic trying to emulate. Like if I,
Well, no.
if I was everybody, I'd be jealous of me
If
too.
people are
But like,
interested-
there's,
God.
Get in
there's
contact.
no, there's, but so taking this on the road, we really want to set the precedent for if you are just 3 days in a car,
Mm.
you might want to find another town before you start charging 25, 3,000 for something
For sure.
because everybody in that town used to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like
Fair enough.
even a yo-yo.
Why do you say yo-yo with such derision?
Because yo-yo's the sickest thing in the
I
universe.
was very impressed by the yo-yoing I saw when I came
Like
in.
anything.
It's
So
pretty sick.
like anything. Just pick a thing because we want to be able to like. We've like this is the country that created Rush. This is the country that created the hip. So many talented Canadian comics are out there. So many talented Canadian actors, but every single time you try and talk to anybody who's made it in this city, they're going to be like, "Oh, if you're not working in America, you're useless." I'm like, how's that supposed to make me feel as a Canadian?
Mm.
How's that supposed to make me feel as an artist? So you're telling me my whole life, because I live here, I'm never going to be taken seriously because I don't live somewhere else? That sounds like defeatism. Defeatism?
defeatism.
For
Defeatism.
sure.
That's not very cool.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
That's not helpful to the art. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where you're doing it if you have a passion for it.
Because my
then you're-
brain goes, so what you're saying is we need a cultural capital in Alberta.
Yeah.
Because right now, everyone in Edmonton, they're holding hands, they're dancing in circles, they're laughing.
Mhm.
Okay? It's
Yes.
an orgy of happiness in that community. I cannot see anything like in their posts. Everybody's like, oh, how can we support you? What dates do you need? People helping each other. Everyone in this community is trying their hardest, like especially in southern Alberta and parts of Saskatchewan.
Mhm.
Everybody's just trying to be number one, and it's not working for anybody. And then all of a sudden, you have Gene and Chewy out here. They're like, "Hey, can we have some help? Like, reach out to a community. We all
Right.
work together, and it's grown into the fact that we're on this podcast.
It's awesome.
They're coming out,
For sure.
and like friendships and actual
Like camaraderie.
yeah, camaraderie.
Like,
That's
we're all
the
in
word
the
I'm
same
looking
boat.
for.
We're all-
Real community.
Real,
Yeah.
real community.
Yeah.
Well, it's Banff, right? Like it's kind of that way anyways. Like it's kind of got that vibe as is. Like everybody here's kind of here to help everybody out. Like nobody here's to fuck anybody else from
Yeah.
town over. Like
No.
that's not like
Well,
that's
if you
not
do,
the
you're
vibe.
not going to last too
Well,
long.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be here for 6 months and you won't have anywhere you can work. There's no one that'll hang out with you. Like it is what it is, right? So
For sure. Well, I know, hey, you guys are doing a great job out there at the Prohibition, growing the art. I
Thanks.
think that's kind of what we're all here to do. That's what we want to do. That's why we have this show, to host people like you guys to come on, tell us what you do, get your names out there, and we can all kind of grow our arts together. That's kind of the whole idea. So
no doubt.
want to tip my hat to you guys. You're doing great stuff out there at the Prohibition. Go out and check them out if you're around on their tour dates as well. We're gonna move on to a little bit of Banff stuff here. I
Let's
think.
get it. Let's get it.
Our first post here is a little bit of news going down in Banff about the vote that we have. So this post here, let me just pull it up on my phone so I can read it a little bit closer. This is about the pedestrian vote. A vote of the electors will be held on August 12th, 2024 on whether or not to have a pedestrian zone on Banff Avenue this summer. What do you guys think about the...
Close the whole fucking road.
what do you mean?
Jesus
you want,
Christ.
You'd like it closed?
Yeah, close
Yeah, okay, there you
the whole
go.
road. And then while you're at it, close 17th Avenue in Calgary.
No, don't close 17th Avenue.
Close. That's the coolest times in Banff are when you like get to Banff Ave, and then everyone's like, no, it's shut down. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, there are things happening in the mountain town.
Oh,
it
yeah.
feels neat. It feels cool, especially in the summertime. Let people walk around.
I
Let them
like it.
frolic with the deer.
Fair. So hey, a very there hasn't been too many pro pedestrian closures.
I'll die
Yes.
on this hill.
Hey,
Jesus.
no, but that's what I mean. I kind of wanted to get people that don't live here's perspective as well. Like you guys love it. You come down, you get to enjoy
Yeah.
Banff Ave, get a little bit more green space to walk around on, you know? It's a good point that I think we need to show on our platform as well, that there are people out there that do love it as well.
But
So-
also, feel free to mute Yanni's microphone so
Yeah.
you can get through this.
Don't feel bad
Never
doing
do
it.
that. So basically, they've decided a bunch of things on the pedestrian vote. The question that will be asked on the ballot is, do you support town council's decision to have a downtown pedestrian zone on Banff Avenue every summer from May long weekend to the Thanksgiving long weekend? And it's yes or no. Now, for eligibility, voters must be Canadian citizens. They must be 18 years of age or older. They must reside in the town of Banff at the time of the vote. Now, there's a bunch of advance voting. If you cannot make it on that day, there's Saturday, July 13th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the YMCA Great Room. That's across the bridge on Spray Ave. If you can make it there with all the traffic, you can go vote during those times.
Walk on the bridge.
Another day is
It'd be easier to
Wednesday.
just walk.
Wednesday, July 17th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again at the Banff YMCA, the Great Room, 102 Spray Ave. The third advance voting day is Monday, July 29th from 4 to 8 at Banff Town Hall. It says council chamber, so that's where the vote will be held at 110 Bear Street. There are special ballots available. You can contact the municipal elections office if you need one, or there's a link on the Town of Banff website. So just vote Town of Banff, I think /vote will get you there. If you want to move to the next slide there, Matt, just a few requirements for voting. Make sure you have your proper ID so you can go out and have your voice heard. Yeah, so you can use a government photo ID, any government issued photo ID, like a driver's license, Alberta identification card for those that don't drive like myself. Proof of residence, so must be shown a Banff address or a mailing address. Electronic documents may be printouts or shown on mobile devices. So like myself, I have my lease agreement on a little app. You can show up with your app and do that. Bank/credit card statement, personal check, correspondence issued by school, college, or university, government check or stub, income or property tax tax assessment notice. I was doing so good up until then. The insurance policy or coverage card, pension plan statement, residential lease or more. Now I'm fucking up everything. Residential lease or mortgage statement. Anyways, the list goes on. So make sure you have your proper identification when you're going down. Here we go. To learn more about the pedestrian zone, you can always inform yourself at banff.ca/Banff Ave. Very split.
They have their own page now. They're just like,
For
oh,
sure.
fuck, it's such a hot topic. You got to get it
So yeah,
right.
very split. The townspeople are divided. People visiting our town obviously love it, but I'm sure some hate the traffic that they have to deal with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Today was a pretty chill day in the town of Banff, so I'm sure you might not have had to deal with too much traffic. But yeah, go out there, get your voices heard. Make sure you get advance voting if you're not around.
When's the Thanksgiving weekend?
I think that's like the
October.
October 20
October?
something.
October.
I think it might have said.
It should go from the first time a deer kicks a tourist to the first snowfall.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm not totally opposed to pedestrian zone or whatever. Just does it have to be that long? Does it have to be
That
that
seems
place? I
long.
think there's other
Yeah.
avenues that could be explored before the town just decides we're doing this every year.
Yeah.
So that's just
I'm
my
with
opinion.
And closing it just on the weekends.
There you
Yeah.
go. Closing it just on the weekends is a great point.
Just
right?
on the
So-
weekends would make the most sense because it makes
Just
it
lean
makes
forward.
that, as we're learning, balance is important.
Yeah.
Right? Balance, everybody. So yeah, because then people will literally come out just for that like small town feeling that everybody's.
Oh,
in.
hell yeah.
For
It's fun.
sure.
It's almost
Yeah.
like an open market every weekend.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, both sides of the coin, we're all split. Moving on, we're gonna go to some Overheard and Banff content. If you guys don't know, we select our favorite posts of Overheard and Banff for the week. Let's go to the first one.
Hell yeah, we're already here, buddy.
Oh,
So
we're
this
already here.
is whoever stole my Patrick Star cone from the front of my house at 2 a.m. Can I please have it back? So this is two people sitting there with traffic cones that they have painted up as SpongeBob characters, and
Super dope.
it's actually sick.
I kind of want one.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Devastating that
another
Patrick
picture
Star
here,
was
It looks
too.
like these
stolen.
people were sponge robbed.
Look at
Don't
this.
do that.
Don't encourage him.
Don't do that.
Don't encourage him.
It's already done. It's
This
already
next
done.
post here says, "Missing Patrick Cone. Please return. Full animosity. Drop off at the door."
Full
Now
animals.
through these comments, it was so good. People were like, "Oh, I think you meant no animosity," and then the original poster was like, "Fuck that. Full animosity. We want
Oh,
our cone
no,
back."
yeah.
I know what I
For
said.
committing,
You steal my Patrick Star
Yeah.
cone. All
It's
bets
on.
are off.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's an act of
it's on.
war for
I
sure.
think
Yeah.
what's nuts here is that if this was Grand Theft Auto, he wouldn't get 5 stars. He'd get Patrick stars.
Don't do
Back
it.
to back, baby.
No,
Let's
no,
go.
no,
God.
don't encourage him.
Moving
has
on
to
the
learn.
next post here. Yesterday on the Overheard Banff page, we had 2 lost kitties. Now,
Oh,
this
yeah,
one says,
that's cool.
hello, I'm at work right now, but I just saw a cat on the loose. Couldn't get close enough to get the tag, but if this is your cat, it was lost and seen out behind the brew pub. That's no place for a cat.
I guess, yeah.
That's a
Outside
sweet-looking
cats
cat.
aren't really a thing up here.
Yeah,
whatever, let's
Because they're
get
going to get
real.
eaten.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to have them outside.
You're
It's a
not allowed to
bylaw,
have them in
yeah.
Calgary either, but people still let
People do
their cats
it
run around
anyways.
outside.
Yeah.
But
Are we just
I
going to
guess-
ignore the fact that that cat's mom was probably an orange tabby? Look at its skin. That cat's mom was an orange tabby, but that cat's dad was a bobcat. That cat's
Okay.
mom got fucked. That cat is literally just leaving the streets every day. He's just out there looking for his lost father. Okay?
Okay,
So
well,
this one, the other cat, it was a little black cat. The black cat was found. This one, no response on
Oh,
the page yet, so
no.
it might still be out there. If you're out there in the town of Banff,
Keep
see
an
this
eye out.
cat, pick him up, check him out,
very
bring him to
sweet.
your house, and get him reunited with its owner. Very cute looking cat.
What's
No
that
Yeah.
that links are a bob kitty? That's cute.
I know.
Right?
On to the next one. This is not cute. This is
Oh,
this
no.
one reads here. We should have signs like this all around our parks and hiking trails, and it's basically just like a display with a whole bunch of different trash items on it and how long it takes to compose. Or
Oh, I hate this.
Decompose.
and it's like it like some of the shit's like 1,000 years for a plastic bottle, so they're just like
I'm just
pack
trying to
out,
pull
pack
it up
in.
so I can read it a little closer here. I did send it to you earlier today because, yeah, these like the years are pretty mental when you look at it. So let's see. Paper 2 to 6 weeks, cardboard 3 months, and orange peel can take up to 2 years. To break
Really?
down.
Orange peel.
Yeah.
Yeah, an
Really?
orange
Isn't that
Huh.
compost?
it takes
I was-
2
Yeah,
years.
but
I
it's
was-
oil.
I always
latex,
figured it was
yeah.
like
It's full
banana
of
peels
oil.
where they decompose much faster.
Yeah, I was
Oh.
going to say, I would have assumed that's biodegradable and totally fine to chuck,
So,
but I
yeah.
guess not.
Oranges
Yikes.
aren't even real.
Lot
We
of oil
made
and
them.
citrus, yeah.
That's why I included
Or is that
this
lemons?
post.
So wise. Such
Chewing
wisdom.
gum takes 5 years. Plastic wrappers 5 years. Cigarette butts 10 years. Man, I used to be a smoker. I've thrown countless butts. Not in the national park, but
Yeah.
Yo, I've killed so many turtles.
yo, even in
Oh,
the
no.
city, right? Plastic bag 10 to 20 years. Wet naps, which you see all over the national park on the long
Oh,
weekend.
no.
They take
God.
100 years to break down. 100 years. A Coke can or aluminum can, sorry, not a Coke, any brand aluminum can.
Yeah.
200 years. Disposable diaper, which you guys would be surprised to see this long weekend. You find them
I'm
everywhere
not
in the town.
surprised.
Like,
That's
really?
so
why
gross.
though?
It's like on the
people
side
are
of the road.
gross.
It's
People
horrible.
are just gross here.
450 years for one of those
Jesus
to break
Christ,
down.
this is where gross people go.
Oh yeah, they just
Yeah.
come here and they're like, "I'm on vacation. I'm
yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
extra
yeah.
gross."
They're just
at,
like, everything belongs to me, right?
Oh,
That
This
strikes
is
me as a
mine.
Walmart crowd right
The
there.
final one is plastic bottle, 1 to 1,000 years, it says.
I was waiting for
Jeez.
plastic to be like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So that was brought to us by Bow Valley Community Connection. Someone threw that up on there. Big thanks to them. If you're out there, if you're from Calgary, you're coming to visit us in the town of Banff, make sure you dispose of your stuff appropriately.
Yeah.
So we can keep this place beautiful. We can have
Throw your
tourists for
shit
many
out.
years to come.
Take your shit with you.
if you're from Calgary, don't come because you're garbage.
Oh, no, we wouldn't say
No,
that.
that's okay. We're saying it. We're from Calgary. We're saying that.
Oh,
I was born and
God.
raised there.
You will litter. You will be
Yeah.
rude to a waitress.
Yeah, you're not.
Just go back.
You're not
home.
welcome in nice places where nice
Yeah,
things
yeah.
exist. Don't go there.
The most American city in Canada.
We want to reiterate these are the views of our guests.
Yeah. No. I'm saying it, but I'm saying it with my whole chest.
I love it. I'm definitely having a laugh over here. From the horse's mouth.
Huge
We don't
disclaimer.
deserve nice things like Banff National Park.
Oh,
Oh goodness.
Moving on here to the next one. This one here is one that's pretty close to me. Right now it is Seniors Week. An old friend of mine, Danny Rousey, works, I think, still through the hospital, but they're putting on the Senior Week here in the town of Banff. So the post reads, the town of Banff is very proud to officially be recognized as an age-friendly community by the province of Alberta today. That was taken down. That happened at the Fenlands. I want to say maybe that was yesterday. Minister Jason Nixon, the Minister of Seniors, Community, and Social Services, presented a plaque to the age-friendly community member Sharon Phillips to launch Seniors Week this week. There is a link on that post, banff.ca/seniors. There's tons of events. There's tons of free stuff going on for seniors this week. So if you are a person of age and you're listening to the podcast, tons of great stuff for you out there this week. Big shout out to Danny. Big shout out to the town of Banff for putting that on for all of our seniors.
No doubt.
Because I hope to be one day.
Can't
Well,
relate.
Can we? What is So you said an age-friendly community.
Yeah, I guess this project is to designate places that are age friendly, that are mobile for elderly people that have different access and programs, maybe probably health services nearby
Yeah.
for them so they can live a good life.
Yeah,
when they're
probably
older.
Huge
general
shout out to like
accessibility.
anybody in Canmore or Lake Robin Sansom from Lake Louise.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Shout out to folks like any producers that do anything other than comedy.
Mhm.
Come on here, do bridge, crib.
You're looking
I'm
at me
trying to
like
think of other
I'm,
hardcore old people shit.
I'm
Yahtzee.
literally 32,
Yahtzee.
so I don't
Bocce
know.
ball.
Bocce
Bocce ball. Oh, we used to
yeah.
like bocce all the time. It's
I was
Run
talking
Shuffleboard.
I was talking to one of my coworkers,
Curling.
Megan Jones. Big shout out Megan Jones. She was actually thinking about ways to get involved with Seniors Week. So she reached out to our mutual friend Danny, and she said that one of the things that's very much in lack of in the town of Banff and Canmore as well is called companions for the
Oh.
elderly.
Oh, okay.
So you
Kinda
can
like
actually
the
just
Big
go and
Brother
hang out,
program, but like-
hang out, go grab a coffee, whatever. Take a little time out of your day to make someone else's better.
Yeah.
It's gonna make you feel good. It's gonna help the community.
Nice.
So we can all live a better life.
Aging can be so lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
And
though.
that's always
yeah.
like that's kind of a weird thing that like especially Banff being where it is, and I guess like in cities, especially in Alberta, we always kind of assume that it's expensive to live here,
For sure.
Right.
right? So
It
we
is.
always kind of assume
It
that,
is.
that most of the individuals that live here are like retired couples and stuff. Like I always assumed that there was some eyes wide shut shit going on, and like,
Oh, God.
like,
Wow.
with a bunch of like old
Okay.
retirees. But this is cool. This
This is cool too, he
no,
says.
this
This isn't that, but it's okay.
This makes me think of some stuff to do. Like this is really cool.
Yeah, it's great. So again, we're not all just young people living here in the town. Right?
No.
Again, a lot of people
Yeah.
find,
Yeah.
like you said, they have this perception of people that live here. There is a big community of people that are elderly that have lived here, that have raised families here, that want to spend their last days here as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's important to have them involved in the conversation, and they get a whole week to themselves. They get tons of events.
I
Great.
don't think
Yeah.
they've ever
for them.
met anyone that grown.
Well, on to this next one. I think this house, there's probably some people that are like elderly now that lived here previously.
For sure. So this one here is from a page called the Encyclopedia of Banff History. I found this just cruising the other day. It says, does anyone know the story behind 127 Beaver? This is a house that's behind the Mount Royal in the parking lot. Now, I got a little bit of a story about this house. I used to work at the Mount Royal back in the day at the Tony Roma's, and there used to be, I think the head bellman for the hotel lived in that unit.
Amazing. It's like a little rectory.
It was part of their staff accom and stuff. Now,
amazing.
if I might be misremembering the story, but I remember working at Tony Roma's, and then the head bellman doesn't show up for a day. Okay, maybe he's sick, whatever, doesn't show up for 2 days.
Oh,
The days start adding up. They go check in the apartment. Unfortunately, the head bellman for the hotel had passed away in that place.
so it's also
it's
haunted, is what you're
haunted.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've boarded it up, and it was, I don't think anyone has lived in there since. So if you are living in there now, I'm sorry to break this news to you. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, to the best of my knowledge, that is what I think happened in that place. And then they didn't have anyone living there. Then the Mount Royal fire happened. They didn't have staff. COVID
Yeah.
happened, yada, yada. So I don't know that there's anyone living in there
And
now.
you'll know
Yeah,
it's
I'm not
haunted
sure.
by bellman if you put your stuff down at the door and suddenly it's in your bedroom put away.
It looks like the inside of
definitely
that
not
house looks like the inside of the apartment from Taxi Driver.
For sure.
Oh,
So
it's
yeah.
God. It's God.
It's It's such a cute little house.
I would love
Right?
to live there
I want
personally if you
that.
have
right
any
downtown
stories.
too. That'd be sweet,
What a
dude.
precious
What
little
isn't
property.
right downtown in Banff?
Here, I guess.
Yeah, that is like the prime
No doubt.
location. But
No
yeah,
doubt.
if you have any stories or you know anything else more than what I know, shoot us a message. Give us some more history. Give us some more history behind that house.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is that all the posts we got for today, Matt?
That's it, buddy.
That's it. Right on. Thank you guys for coming by. It's been an
No doubt.
absolute pleasure this week.
We're so happy.
Thank you for breaking a car and still coming down to
Yeah, breaking
record
an
this with us. We
entire
can't
automobile.
thank you enough for honestly sticking to it and letting the show still go on. So big thanks for
Thanks
coming.
so much for letting us make it on here late.
Yeah.
It felt terrible, but we're here. We did it.
No worries.
We would
No
love
worries.
after we accumulate some stories from our tour. We'd like to come back after August and share
100%.
those with you.
Hell
100%.
yeah. Hell yeah. That'd be sweet.
Absolutely. Looking forward to having all three of you back on. And if you're in Calgary on a Wednesday,
Yep.
Wednesday 7 to 9, go by Prohibition Bar and Lounge. Go check these guys
yeah.
out. You might even see them busking out front, get a little sneak peek before the show. Next week, bit of a change of pace, still kind of on the same realm, we got a rapper coming in.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Yeah, we
I
got a
didn't even know
rapper,
that.
a local rapper from Canmore, my boy Blaze One.
Cool.
I met him. He opened up for D12. I met him through Kyle
cool.
Guy, another local comedian.
So there's only one D12, so I'm gonna sound stupid, but the D12.
Yeah.
The D12
Yeah.
for the show.
Yeah.
here, man.
They were
Alright.
here a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
they were here a few
sold.
weeks ago with Robbie G from Calgary, which you might recognize. Blaze one of the openers, tore the place up.
Heck.
The dude has some crazy talent on the mic. He's done a bunch of TikTok skits that went viral. He's a super awesome personality, great performer. So we look forward to having him on next week.
Sweet.
But enough about that. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. I think that's all we got for you. And just like every week, see you next Tuesday.